Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, February 28th, 2019, and this is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1116.
This is No Agenda.
Delivering shrinkage to your amygdala and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where there will be no Zephyr today, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, what does that mean? Did we lose?
There's going to be no Zephyr.
Is the Zephyr not riding today? Is it done? Is it closed? Is it shut? Is it over and out?
Canceled for today.
Wow.
Because of the snowpack between Sacramento and Truckee.
Oh.
They can't clear it.
Snow. Oh, that's something new for you guys.
4 feet on the tracks.
It's your climate change, man. Get used to it. I'm happy I'm here in Texas.
Yeah, Snowpiercer.
Texas is going to be great when the ice age comes. I mean, it won't be
more. Yeah, it'll be more.
It won't be great. It'll be more amenable. Let's put it that.
Amenable, yes. You won't have those hot summers.
It's 45 degrees here again today. This is cold for us.
It is cold.
Mm-hmm. Well, what a day yesterday was. I don't know about you. I had a video bonanza.
Oh, you're just talking about the Cohen hearings?
No.
Oh.
That's just part of it. I'm watching the Cohen hearing, which was, well, we'll get into it, but okay. And I'm watching, I'm waiting, and at a certain point...
Hold on, before you continue. I don't know if you noticed this, but I did. Why were they playing the Cohen hearings on network TV, gavel to gavel?
Because we didn't want anyone to know that there was something happening in North Korea, or in Vietnam.
And then the other thing was the real kind of the guides to all this stuff is C-SPAN, and I pointed this out in the newsletter.
Yes.
C-SPAN ran it on C-SPAN 3. That's how much they thought of it.
At least it was on C-SPAN radio, which is how I
was thinking that'd be the next step.
It was on C-SPAN radio, but it would be relegated to just that. Yeah, so I'm watching that, and at a certain point, I'm just like, well, maybe AOC will be interesting, which she wasn't. And then I get a frantic text from Tina. She's like, OMG, Alex Jones on Joe Rogan. Nah, and I just sat there and laughed for a couple hours. It was so fantastic. Did you catch any of that?
No, I caught zero of it.
Oh, my goodness. Alex Jones came on, and he had a piece of paper. And it was every nutty thing he's ever talked about, every single one of them. And he went into great detail to explain. It was like 4.5 hours, the whole podcast. And he just went on and on and on and on. It was fantastic. I'm sure that Rogan alienated a lot of his regular viewers. But man, it was, I don't know. It's just like, yeah. That's pretty much the way we see it too. Yeah. But he goes so fast that, no one can figure out what he's doing, what he's saying.
He's all wound up.
Yeah, he had a little bit on 5G, which I'll play for. This is just an example. This was in the beginning. It only got worse from here.
Your family, none of us are going to make it. There's a post-human era coming. The breakaway civilization. The deal's been made. It's not. Okay. It's not in the third dimension. They've made frickin' deals with interdimensional aliens.
Okay.
And notice the media never attacks you for that because that's the truth.
Maybe this is true. I do not know this. And
we'll get into it.
Okay, I do not know this. And even these human-pig hybrids, Jamie just pulled this out. I believe it's true.
I mean, I'm worried about human-pig hybrids. I'm sorry the Sandy Hook kids died. My identity is not that.
I get it.
They admit.
But by the way, that was one thing that was interesting, and this came up a couple of times. So he has these lawsuits against him for, I guess, is it emotional distress or slander, harassment about the Sandy Hook kids dying, which he always said that no one died at Sandy Hook. And now his story is a little different. I don't have the clip because it was somewhere in that 4.5 hours. But he said, well, because I live this stuff every single day, it's so easy for me to kind of, get into it. And I'm just shooting from the hip. And, I say stuff and it's not always what I believe. And you can hear him. What he just said here in this little bit in the beginning is that's not my identity. I'm sorry the kids died at Sandy Hook. He's backpedaling on that in anticipation of the lawsuit, I think.
Hybrids. I'm sorry the Sandy Hook kids died. My identity is not that.
I get it.
They admit 5G in all the studies, LA Times, causes massive mutation and cancer
Wait a
literally
minute.
rattles your DNA apart. All of our kids are under attack.
You mean
And I'm mad at
5G?
Trump for allowing 5G to come in.
This is the new internet.
You know why they won't let China put in WAPO? You know 5G in major...
Instead of Huawei, he says WAPO, which I think is just as good.
Trump for allowing 5G to come in.
This is the new internet.
You know why they won't let China put in WAPO? You know 5G in
WAPO?
major... That's the big Chinese
You are on
5G.
fire today.
What's WAPO?
No,
Can
the
I
big
just tell
5G.
You're on fire.
No, Joe, the 5G.
You're on fire.
Okay. Remember
5G
how I
is the
told you
new
there was a
internet
BBC
protocol.
article in
Yes.
96 about human-animal hybrids with pigs and cows?
Okay. So it was that. Marijuana was necessary.
God. So he, I don't think I could take it. But I think it's funny, though, that Rogan is just enough off the kind of the main, he's just not into things enough where he would think 5G is the new internet standard.
Rogan didn't even know that the governor of Virginia was the same, had just the day before the KKK blackface yearbook picture came out, that he had done this whole bit about live birth babies who then would maybe be resuscitated depending on what the mother wanted, and he didn't know that he didn't even know that had happened, and he didn't know it was the same guy. So yeah, and it made me think like, wow, we take a lot for granted what people do or don't know when we just talk, and I think
especially when they're major players like Rogan.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
think he'd know that,
Well,
and you think he'd know that 5G is a phone standard, not an internet standard.
Right. Well, he does a lot of stand-up shows. He's got other things to do.
He's not working 24/7 as stand-up.
Yeah,
Because most of his work is on this show, and you think that just doing that show.
I don't think you're right. I think he does quite a lot of comedy shows. He travels a lot for that. And when you're traveling,
Well, yeah, when you're traveling, you're screwed.
yeah.
I agree.
Let me see.
But you can read the paper when you're on the plane. You can read the paper when you're sitting in the green room.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's fine. If he doesn't want to know these things, it's no
Let's
big
see.
deal.
Here he is.
That's not why people would listen to a show.
All right. Let's see.
Listen to a show for the banter.
Friday, March 15th, March 22nd, April 20th. Oh, he's got a week in between. So yeah, he could do better. He should have me on the show. I've never been invited. I'm heartbroken.
You're not going to get invited.
I know. I know. Well, maybe when my book comes out, then I'll get my publicist to book me on the show.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
And of course, I have my phone ringing for some unknown reason. Why don't you fill while I go hang up on these phonies?
I'd rather listen to what you're going to say to the phonies. That seems a little more interesting. No? Okay. And we're all alone, people. So I'm just going to suggest that the next topic will be the Oscars. And I wonder if John has any clips from the Oscars. I certainly don't, because I thought the show was boring.
And of course, I didn't say anything because it was just, it says wireless caller or something like that. They just hang up.
Yeah. Did you take it off the hook? Did you take the horn off the hook?
I did.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yes. Only you can do that.
Well, I think we should talk a little bit about him. I think for one thing, there was this semi-scandal about who they left off the
in memoriam
list.
Yeah, there was quite a few big names, and I love that segment. That's my favorite of any award show, because you sit there and you
the
go.
Biggest stink out of Stanley Donen, who did Singing in the Rain and a bunch of other major movies, but he died just before the show, so they're going to put him on the next show. But missing was producer, and this is from Variety, Arnold Coppelson, who won the Best Picture for Oliver Stone's Platoon. He also he did Fugitive.
The drill sergeant Arlie Ermey.
Yeah.
From from Full Metal Jacket. He wasn't in there.
And also the midget
Vern Troyer, Mini-Me.
Yeah, he wasn't listed.
No, he doesn't count.
And he wasn't listed
racist.
in Variety either.
It's racist against little people.
Gary Kurtz, Carol Channing.
Yeah, Carol Channing. That was a surprise they missed that
name.
one. Yeah.
So then I started looking at some of the people they did put on. And I'm going to name a few. And I want you to tell me what well, first of all, they had, for example, on the list was Glenn Campbell, who I never thought of as a movie guy.
He did one big movie, didn't he?
Well, if he did one big, then Gary Kurtz should have been on.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm not arguing.
Jake LaMotta.
Wow, they missed him?
No, they put him on.
They put him on.
They put him on. He's a boxer.
I'm sure he was in a boxing movie.
No.
Who handles
Liz
this?
Smith? Liz Smith?
I demand Liz Smith from Page 6?
Yeah.
She's dead? Damn it.
That's kind of the opposite of what I always say.
Huh. Sorry,
okay, let me tell you. I'm going to name some names, and you tell me what they did. That they were so important they have to be on this list.
Okay.
And I don't want to demean any of these people, and I'm sorry they're not around anymore, but
you don't mean that.
If they left off, I want to know.
You don't mean that. Don't lie. You don't care. You don't
Barry
care.
Goldberg.
Barry Goldberg. No idea.
Barry.
No idea.
Casting director.
Oh.
Here's my all-time favorite one. Mike Mandel.
Of the Mandel sisters?
Dolly Grip.
Hey, that's an important role, man.
Well, then does every dolly grip, anyone who's ever been a dolly grip or a gaffer, should they be on this list?
Only the important ones.
Robert Glickman.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be on the list.
The lighting engineer.
Yeah.
Richard Scott.
Worked with him a lot.
Richard Scott.
Yeah, worked with him.
Publicist.
Oh, I didn't work with him.
Now, here's my favorite one, which is Rodolfo Spagoni. Catering. He was a documentary subject in a documentary called El Diqua by Corrado Franco. He was the subject. It was a study of the homeless in Italy or something, and this one guy was the main character. Wasn't really an actor, never really been in the business. Didn't even know what was going on, but he got listed.
So what is your point?
Robert Marta, camera operator.
You act so diminutive about the,
No, I don't. I love the camera operators. I'm just saying, if you're going to leave out a major producer, why would you?
Yeah,
okay.
but what do you care? I mean, does anyone really care?
They brought on to do presenting.
Here's the thing. Do we really need to analyze this show that is just irrelevant? I mean, half the winners are from Netflix anyway. It's not about movies.
What was John Lewis doing on this show?
Well, John Lewis was, and this is the interesting part, for all the grief that Green Book got, because, of course, it's racist, and this is exactly what we predicted, that the millennials hate this movie, they hate Bohemian Rhapsody. John Lewis was an advisor, a technical advisor on Green Book. Yeah, I didn't see
this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now the millennials are racists.
Of course they are.
What was Serena Williams doing on the show?
She's awesome. She's the
suck.
I do not suck.
So let's put
wow.
Let's put the only clip I got is Trevor Noah, who came out with his little. He did a bit, and I don't know what he was doing on the show either. He's never. Well, been in a movie.
Yes, he was a voice in Black Panther. He was a voice of something.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's definitely qualified.
I know too much about this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. So he comes on and does a very kind of a funny sketch, and then does this little twist back thing, which got a lot of attention by the trades and other media because it was. I thought it was a racist insult, but okay, let's play the clip.
Please welcome Trevor Noah.
Hurry up.
Black Panther may be an African hero, but his story and his appeal are universal. I know this personally because of all the people who constantly come up to me and say, Wakanda forever. Everywhere in the world, my African friends are like, Wakanda forever. In France, I've had people say, hello, Trevor Noah, you say Wakanda forever, no? Even backstage, Mel Gibson came up to me like, Wakanda forever. He said another word after that, but the Wakanda part was nice. Growing up as a young boy in Wakanda, I would see King T'Challa flying over our village, and he would remind me of a great Xhosa phrase, Abelungu abayazi bandiyaxoka, which means in times like these we are stronger when we fight together than when we try to fight apart. This is Best Picture nominee, Black Panther.
Yeah. All right.
So you know the gag, right?
No.
Oh, I'm glad you don't know it.
I don't know the gag.
So that little Kosa phrase he said at the end actually translated to, whites won't know I'm lying.
Really?
Yeah.
How nice of him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mel Gibson also sent him some cupcakes this morning. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And, I just don't see the relevance. The ratings weren't too bad, actually.
No, they went up.
Yeah, which means hosts suck. I like that part.
I think hosts do suck. I mean, ever since Carson was okay as a host, and that was about it.
Let's see. So we had all the anger over Green Book. It was the Spike Lee who got all pissed off. Which is, if you've ever lived in New York, it's Spike Lee. That's what he does. Oh,
the other
God.
thing I should mention is at the beginning when they started off with the. I thought it was off. I didn't think the show got off to a good start with the. I liked the way they presented the song, from Queen with Adam Lambert, who I think is really outstanding singer.
He did the musical, I think. Yeah, he's good.
So at the beginning they started off, but I thought it was off-putting because they did so many shots of the audience, and you saw these middle-aged farts. Jerking around and clapping and going their arms back and forth and doing the boogie in the middle in the audience, standing up. I just look at these people because they're all the first few rows are just the most rich kind of isolated celebrities in the world, and the way they're jerking around like they're part of the scene, they're like they're in a beatnik club, in the 50s or who knows what.
I think you've hit on it. I think you've hit on it.
I just think it just grossed me out.
We're at a tipping point. We're right at the edge. It's not going to be too many. That's why I watched the In Memoriam segment. I mean, look at Brian May and Roger Taylor from Queen. I know Roger Taylor. I know Brian May. These guys look like they got one foot in the grave, with the really white gray hair, and then the audience has the same. These old people, they got to go. We're just I think New Hollywood is just waiting for these people to croak. Move on. Move on. I read a new complaint about Bohemian Rhapsody. Bad. By the way, a lot of people were wondering why it got best editing. Because I thought it was kind of a messy movie myself. But then I thought about it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is the one that Bryan Singer directed, 70% of. And then they had to bring in somebody else. He got kicked off for being a creep and being a creep in the past and just being a creep. And so some poor editor who won the Oscar had to stitch all that stuff together. So I think that was kind of an inside Hollywood deal saying, oh, man, you really deserve this, even though it wasn't the best editing, in my opinion. And of course, I'm not a member of the Academy. But the big problem was in the movie. Aha.
Well, just to stop you there, this is also a note of encouragement because this sort of thing can happen at any time. Mm-hmm. And they have to bring in a pro to stitch things up. Yeah. And this is saying, hey, we will give you an award if you do this.
Ooh, good point. If you come in and save the day. And save the purse.
Yeah.
Well, all of this, so I think Bohemian Rhapsody got the most awards, I think. And
I don't think so. I thought Black Panther got one extra one. They won all these makeup awards and those sorts of things.
But the community is up in arms about the Bohemian Rhapsody movie because it does not correctly depict Freddie Mercury as being bisexual, and the gall of doing that in the awards week, which fell in the same week as Bisexual Awareness Week.
What? Yeah. Bisexual Awareness Week?
There's a lot of people in
this means you gotta keep looking up back behind you all the time, or what's the deal? What is bisexual awareness? You have to be worried about bisexual jumping you?
There's a lot of people in the community who feel that bisexuality is not a thing, that you don't really belong in the LGBTQ or the LGBTQIAAPK. Yeah, it's exactly right.
You're just an opportunist.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have it both ways. Yeah, an opportunist. Precisely.
Yeah, opportunism week.
So yeah, let's. Well, it's kind of over now. I guess no one's talking about the Oscars anymore. It's done. We just do it out of politeness.
We had to because we said we would.
Yeah, correct. Okay, did you get anything from Cohen? Because I
got a ton from Cohen.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
They're all short.
Good. I knew you would.
Just a couple of little deals here and there. Nothing
So
really great.
Let's just explain. Let's explain, because I did learn a few things. We set it up. This is Michael Cohen. He was the president's personal lawyer. He is the one that he's a fixer, so he would take care of stuff, and he paid off Stormy Daniels and the McDougal woman. And interestingly, now that I really looked at it and listened to him and looked at some analysis, he has been convicted of 5 counts of tax fraud. And bank fraud. That's his main crime. But he, out of the goodness of his heart, he confessed to the crime of campaign finance violations, which is interesting. He did that because no one ever goes to jail for campaign finance violations. What typically happens is you get a fine and you have to return the money. That's happened with every president, every election that's happened. Yes. Yeah,
Obama did that. But it turns out, if you listen to the Napolitano types and these right-wingers, his violation wasn't illegal. It wasn't
exactly. That's my point. He didn't have to commit to that. He didn't have to do that. But it's obvious why he did.
Yeah, he did it to make Trump look bad.
And Rule 35 of the Southern District of New York or whatever, if he cooperates, which he said many times, I'm here cooperating. But that really was that was really telling, where it was no crime. He didn't have to confess to anything. He wasn't being charged with it. And he said, I admit to it. I'm done. Here I am. Lock me up. And now he kind of comes across as, I'm going to jail for being associated with the president's crimes. But it's really not. His jail time is for bank fraud and tax evasion. But that was the thing that I learned. And other than that, I learned that the Putin's penthouse that everyone was so sure about, Trump he's already hooked up Putin with a penthouse in the Trump Moscow Tower. And there was Cohen saying, that was just a PR stunt. That was just to get people to sign up to be a part of the residency.
Yeah.
And everything else,
well, there was some fun stuff.
Okay.
First of all, let's play the introductory clip, which is the gag order. This is by one of the representatives, Green, and he was irked about the fact that apparently they were out. There was only a few things they could talk about. It was all outlined. And he's going to bust them on this and grouse about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ranking Member Jordan, the chairman in this committee have promised members of the American people a fair and open process. Yet the Democrats have vastly limited the scope of this hearing. They've issued a gag order to try to tell members of this committee what we can and cannot talk about. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim that they want the truth, that they want transparency and fair oversight. Yet the Democrats' witness to testify before Congress today is none other than a scorned man who's going to prison for lying to Congress. Let that sink in. He's going to prison for lying to Congress, and he's the star witness to Congress. If you read the sentencing report on Mr. Cohen, words like deceptive and greedy are scattered throughout that report. It paints a picture of a narcissist, a bully, who cannot tell the truth, whether it's about the president or about his own personal life. But today, he's the majority party's star witness.
Yeah.
So that was his little complaint. But this whole thing was kind of the theme of the Republican side. But we just have a few details. There's a 12-second clip. A lot of these are very short. This is the hearing on his book deal.
Okay.
As a platform for you to continue to lie and sensationalize and exaggerate wherever it suits you. Do you plan to pursue another book deal about your experiences?
Yes.
Yeah, that came up a couple times. Will you promise not to sell your story? He's like, no. Hello. Yeah, that was made pretty obvious. He'll spend some time on the inside, but at least he's got something to come home to.
Yeah, book deal. So he also, in this hearing, which I thought was the funniest part, is he took credit. Jordan actually asked him a couple of times about this. He took credit for Trump being the president.
Yes.
He says that he invented the whole idea of a Trump presidency. And then he said, well, yeah, maybe Trump thought about it in the past. He's always been thinking about it. And Roger Stone takes more credit. I mean, everybody takes credit for this, but this guy took all the credit. And here's his little explanation. This is
I got it.
ShouldTrumpRun.com.
Yeah.
Wow. 2011 was my idea. I saw a document in the newspaper that said, who'd you vote for in 2012? 6% of the people said Michael Cohen. 6% of the people turned around and said they'd vote for Donald Trump. The reason Donald Trump is president. So I brought it into his office and I said to him, Mr. Trump, take a look at this. And he goes, well, wouldn't that be great? And with that is where it all started.
Yeah. Okay. Like I'm sure he had never thought of anything like that until you came.
No, I didn't.
Let me ask you one question. I got 8 seconds.
Hey, tell me that you didn't listen to this hearing and from time to time think to yourself, shit, he sounds just like Andrew Horowitz.
It doesn't really.
Oh, there was a couple of intonations, the way he said stuff. I'm like, oh, Horowitz. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I
didn't notice it. Horowitz does sound like one of those brokers who calls you up, And
hey, you want to get rich? You want to leave your wife
Horowitz
rich?
Can do that voice. He does a lot of voices.
Yeah.
He does a great Bernie, but he does a voice of the guy, which is he claims is in fact, I talked to a guy, one of these guys on the phone once because I wasn't going to buy anything, so I started discussing with him his style of sales, and which is pretty hard to do with these guys because they're on a deadline. And he says the combination, and I got this from all these guys. We're talking about guys who call you up, hey, you want to buy some stock? And
it goes like this. Hold on.
Hey, is this John C. Dvorak? Hello. Hey, John, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
do you want to get rich? Do you want to leave your fucking wife rich? Do you buy stocks and bonds? You want to get rich?
It's pretty close.
Right.
Apparently, it's a combination of a Brooklyn and a Boston accent that is the absolute best.
And that sells, baby.
It sells.
It sells.
So there's the thing about the inaugural, which you talked about. The Lib-Joes believe that something about the inaugural.
Yeah, they think that because this would be the emoluments clause.
Well, we don't know because nobody seems to get it straight. There was one Democrat that came and asked about the inaugural, about
overcharging, gouging
at the hotel, which is gouging, but it didn't go anywhere, and it didn't give me any information. We might as well play it. It's a short clip. This is a hearing inaugural question.
The rental that was being quoted was substantially, even double what you would expect to pay according to what the market should bear. And so in a sense, the Trump Hotel was upcharging to the inaugural.
Even I couldn't afford to stay there.
Yeah. And so I'm just curious, do you have a sense of whether that kind of a practice is something that is consistent or inconsistent? Is it possible that kind of upcharging could be done inside a Trump operation?
It did happen.
Well, it's the American way, bro.
And
Gentleman's time is
Does this guy ever stay in a hotel during a convention?
Yeah, or go to Vegas during a convention.
What I can say to you is I wasn't part of the inaugural committee. I raised a lot of money for the inauguration, but I was not part of it. And there was a lot of things in that issue is something that's also, obviously, we've read about in the paper being investigated at the current moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Higgins.
Oh, jeez. So what exactly would the idea be? The money was raised. It wasn't government money. So where's the violation?
Here's what I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
It's based on, just speculation.
And expertise and experience.
Well, it would go like this. It's like a golf club scam that the Japanese Yakuza run. You set up the thing and you want to send some bribes over to the president. So we're going to rent you this suite at the Trump Hotel. It's normally $1,000 because it's so crowded. We're going to give it to you for $10,000.
Right.
The president will be very happy.
Yes. Okay. So that's pretty much DC politics. I still don't see anything out of the ordinary.
It's emoluments, man.
Yeah, emoluments clause, baby.
So Schultz was on, and she's just a slime
Debbie
ball.
Wasserman. Yeah.
So here's her little thing. I kind of ended it when she kind of flubbed. But she has this meme she keeps promoting, and it was promoted by Norah O'Donnell on CBS. When Norah O'Donnell says, oh, and then Debbie Wasserman Schultz spoke, and I don't have this clip. I wish I did. And Norah says she was the head of the Democratic National Committee and was ousted by the Russian leaks.
No, how about she was ousted for screwing Bernie Sanders and trickery?
No. Not according to Norah. She was ousted because of the Russian leaks.
I'm sorry.
And so we have the same Russian leak meme that Schultz herself promotes, and I guess she's buddies because I think she's in New York a lot. I mean, she's from Florida, but she's in New York a lot because we have people.
Yes, who see her.
Yes. And she's in New York a lot. So this is her promoting the same bull crap theme that it's all the Russians' fault that she's not the head of the DNC.
As you likely know, I served as the chair of the Democratic National Committee at the time of the Russian hacks and when Russia weaponized the messages. And
by the way, these are only indictments, these Russia hacks. This has not been proven in a court of law. This is only based upon Mueller's indictment. I don't think there's ever been any conclusive trial over this.
No. All the proof leads to it was stolen by Seth.
Rich.
That it had stolen. But I want to be clear. My questions are not about the harm done to any individual.
Wait, start it over because it was a continuous comment that I thought needed to be heard in its entirety.
As you likely know, I served as the chair of the Democratic National Committee at the time of the Russian hacks and when Russia weaponized the messages that it had stolen. But I want to be clear. My questions are not about the harm done to any individual by WikiLeaks and the Russians. It's about the possible and likely harm to the United States of America and our democracy.
In your career,
I have a series of questions that I hope will connect more of these dots. Mr. Cohen, is it your testimony that Mr. Trump had advanced knowledge of the Russia WikiLeaks release of the DNC's emails?
I cannot answer that in a yes or no. He had advanced notice that there was going to be a dump of emails, but at no time did I hear the specificity of what those emails were going to be.
But you do testify today that he had advanced knowledge of their imminent release.
That is what I had stated in my testimony.
And that he cheered that outcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Mr. Trump likely share this information with his daughter Ivanka, son Don Jr., or Jared Kushner?
Lock him up!
I'm not aware of that.
Was Ivanka, Jared, or Don Jr. still involved in the Russian tower deal at that time?
The company was involved in the deal, which meant that the family was involved in the deal.
If Mr. Trump and his daughter Ivanka and son Donald Jr. are involved in the
You should have let it go a little longer because she laughs at herself for saying rump.
I know. I let it. She actually snapped out of it after that little snicker at the end.
Yeah.
I would have, but the laugh was mostly physical.
Yeah. Okay. That's possible. But I thought it was funny. Rump. Now something else about this clip. First of all, the Democrats, I can just say in this case, the Democrats desperately want to get Ivanka and Jared and anybody they can from the family, Don Jr. and Eric, and I hope Kimberly Guilfoyle, get everyone. We have to talk to them. We have to testify. Rah, rah, rah. And there was something else that she mentioned in the, oh, yes. So the story, I don't know if you have the clip of that. The story that Cohen told is that he was in Trump's office and Roger Stone called and Trump put him on speakerphone. And Stone then said, "Hey, boss, the WikiLeaks are going to drop. It's going to drop these emails." And that was his testimony as to how he knows that Trump heard that directly from Roger Stone. Couple things. From what I understand, this president, not only does he not use email, not only does he not text, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't put Roger Stone on speakerphone. I don't think he puts anybody on speakerphone. I don't think Roger Stone would want himself to be on speakerphone. Certainly not with this news. But in the line of questioning, the dates.
Well, I will say.
Well, hold on. The timeline was that Trump knew about the WikiLeaks coming a week before it happened.
Yeah,
and
everybody did.
Yes, exactly. WikiLeaks was tweeting it, for a month.
Yeah, it was being tweeted a month earlier.
Yeah.
I know this is the part that is real head scratcher because not one of the Republicans mentioned this that I can think of. I will say that Cohen claims that Trump only used the speakerphone.
No, he said he used it quite frequently.
Okay, well,
because I listened to that. I'm like, I don't think he's talking shit. The guy, look, again, what a waste of time.
No, the whole thing, a waste of network time. Now, although they all got their jabs.
He could have had good Seinfeld repeats, anything. I
have one other clip of the illegal recordings that he did. I didn't think that was not that interesting. It's not a clip we have to play, but I do have the end of the thing.
It's the only clip I have.
The end of the whole thing?
The Cummings. Yeah, it's the only one I have. That's okay. We'll play your version. It
doesn't go all the way to the end. It just goes to the part that we thought was
interesting.
Our producers thought was interesting.
Well, then let me play my clip. It's about 20 seconds longer, because it is literally at the end.
A better Donald Trump, a better United States of America, and a better world. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. When we're dancing with the angels, the question will be asked, in 2019, what did we do to make sure we kept our democracy intact? Did we stand on the sidelines and say nothing? Did we play games? And I'm tired of these statements saying, people come in here and say, oh, this is the first hearing. It is not the first hearing. The first hearing was with regard to prescription drugs. Remember, a little girl, a lady said there, Miss Wortham, her daughter died because she could not get $333 a month in insulin. That was our first hearing. Second hearing, H.R. 1, voting rights, corruption in government. Come on now.
Oh, no.
We can do more than one thing. And we have got to get back to normal. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
33, that's a magic number. It's the magic number.
Yeah, we hear you, Cummings. Come on now. Isn't that what Obama used to say all the time?
Signaling, though.
Oh, well, it's signaling this is the end, and there's more to come.
This bull crap is what it's
3:30. It's like, thanks for your attention, no agenda people. Just wasted 18 hours of your time. That's what it signaled. Yeah. It's, at what point will the news-consuming public just get so tired of it? It cannot last. They couldn't even do it with the damn airplane, and the thing still's never found.
Yeah, that airplane.
They had to give up. I mean, they had to get, and that they went on for a year at least, just about an airplane every single day.
I remember when Reynolds was the guy. I can't remember his first name. A very famous broadcaster was the Reynolds. Anyway, he used to do Nightline before Koppel came along.
Mm-hmm.
And Reynolds, the Nightline people at ABC decided that when the hostage crisis, and I remember watching this. The hostage crisis took place in 1979 when the Iranians stole our diplomats and tore down our embassy in Tehran. And they started this campaign. We're going to broadcast exclusively about this until it's resolved. And it was the end of him as a broadcaster because it went on for a year or so.
See ya.
And they're still, because they promised that they were going to broadcast about this exclusively until it was over. And about 6 months into it, it wasn't going to be over anytime soon. Nobody was doing much about it. These poor people were stuck over there. And they showed the ratings were going through the tank and they had to fire him and bring in Ted Koppel pretty much. This is kind of in a condensed form, but that's what happened. And so the public only puts up with stuff for if they put up with something for 6 months, I think it's a miracle.
Well, this has been a little bit longer than that. It kept on going.
Well, I think you're talking about the airplane, or you're talking about the Trump
stuff. Well, yeah.
I think the
collusion,
sick of it.
All of that. Well, I hope so.
I'd like to see what the ratings were for this Yola's daytime stuff.
Oh, that's got to be horrible.
It was zero. I mean, I'd be watching Netflix.
Can't. No, it can't. It can't have been. It couldn't have been any good. No way. Oh.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
Well, we are here in Climate Gate land.
Hey, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're packing them in with U.S. superstars coming to the South by Southwest. When is this?
I believe it is April.
Huh.
Why?
It's going to be a mess.
It's always a mess. There's nothing new there. Well, we finally done it, John. We hit the gold standard.
Oh, okay, good.
The gold standard. And this was big news for about an hour until Trump tweeted something else. And we now know that the confidence that human activities are raising the heat at Earth's surface have reached a 5 sigma level.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me.
5 sigma level.
5 sigma level. In case you were wondering, that is a statistical gauge, meaning there is only a 1 in a million chance that signal would appear if there was no warming. This is the gold standard. Previously applied in 2012 to confirm the discovery of the Higgs boson subatomic particle. You know, when they tried to create the black hole for us all to die in.
Yeah, they failed.
So this is it. They've played their last card. And this is going to be very worrying because now they're saying not only is it 97% of all scientists, which I actually think I saw this morning of all climate researching scientists. Someone was backtracking
they
that.
don't want to, that's no good.
Yeah. So
it's closer to the truth.
So now it's not 97%. This is 99.99999% certain that they are right, that humans are causing global
Who made this
warming.
determination?
This is Oslo.
What governing body?
The Nature Climate Chain. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Who are these people called? Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California.
Lawrence Livermore Labs made this proclamation?
Yes, or some guy from it.
What do you mean? Did some guy from it? The labs?
Yeah, here's the guy.
Luckily.
Here's the guy. The guy's name is...
Luckily, I have friends within this organization.
Oh, good. I'm sure they listen to the show all the time.
I'm sure they don't.
Yeah, lead author, Benjamin Santer, or Santer, lead author of the study.
How do you spell his name?
Santer, Benjamin Santer. But the news came out of Oslo, so I guess they have some institute there.
Odd.
With
Should be coming out of Livermore.
I hear you. I'm just saying this is not just one place. I mean, these are the top gold standard scientists from all over the globe, and they all agree 99.9999%. 1 in a million could they be wrong. 1 in a million chance. Now, you know that's just it's crazy. Can't even think about it. They're just right. Shut up. It's all over. And one of our producers.
This is where he came from.
Where?
East Anglia. Where they fudge the numbers.
Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No.
Perfect. The p-value guys. Yeah, we know all about that. Now, one of our producers sent us a nice note, and he does video production. In fact, he says that the production that I was so wowed by in, what was it, the Samsung Galaxy 10 5G, I said it was crazy. It was better than an Apple event. So he says that his company produced that, and they also produced this like awareness teaching center in nuclear facilities, where kids and class can go in and learn about nuclear energy. And he mentioned that when he was making this exhibit, which it's pretty elaborate, this hands-on stuff. It's one of those things kids do a field trip to. And he mentioned that when he was putting that together, the company that had hired his company said, well, you really should look at the persuasion of this woman, a girl, Severin Suzuki in Rio now this was 1992. This was when we were just getting started with climate change, but also a great moment in history of abusing kids to present a message. And I'm just going to play a minute of it because as I was listening to what this kid is saying, it's the same thing you hear from the Starlight movement, well, not Starlight, the Sunrise movement, the AOC, Green New Deal kids. It's all exactly the same. But she had this one little bit in here that made me think for a sec.
At school, even in kindergarten, you teach us how to behave in the world. You teach us to not to fight with others, to work things out, to respect others, to clean up our mess, not to hurt other creatures, to share, not be greedy. Then why do you go out and do the things you tell us not to do? Do not forget why you are attending these conferences, who you're doing this for. We are your own children. You are deciding what kind of a world we are growing up in. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world, and we're doing the best we can. But I don't think you can say that to us anymore. Are we even on your list of priorities? My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words. Thank you.
So, I think
First of all, the kid didn't write that.
No, of course not. As I said, it was the first, a good moment in time of child abuse for political means. But what I find interesting is that in today's age, where every kid is connected, not every kid, but most kids are connected, they're going to start and see through the game, because this kid is right. You teach your kids, be nice, be kind to other human beings, be kind to animals. But meanwhile, all they see all day is the shit show that is the real world. It's on Twitter. I mean, it's like, this is not a surprise. So when you have politicians, like the gray-haired ones we've been talking about, no different from the people of the Academy Awards, who for decades have been using fear-mongering, it's paying off. But you're in trouble now, because now we have only 12 years left to live. We're going to die. Children don't even want to have children anymore because of the reports, the hype, the hyperbole, just the constant verbal diarrhea with fear-mongering that my generation, okay, you, John, your generation didn't die during drop and cover. We know what this is. But today's generation, it's working on them. And I have some expanded clips from the short one you might have seen.
Which is, by the way, this generation, I think it probably extends into the millennials.
Yes, I would agree.
They're all so proud of themselves for being, and I was told this when my kids were younger, quote unquote, we're immune to advertising.
Oh my God. No, they may be immune to advertising, but their info gates are wide open to messaging. And it's just slipping right in. And then you get results. And the results don't stick in some classroom where a teacher says, shut up or sit down or whatever. No, it's encouraged. You have everyone's in on the game. In fact, we got a note here from one of our.
Take the day off, kids. Be truants.
Well, one of our teachers, and because we were talking about that, is saying you can't just take the day off. Teachers just can't do this. And this teacher is producer Nathan. It was okay to use his name. I'll just read his notes. So I've emailed a few times about education conversations. I want to drop a note about the Sunrise people and student protests. The fact that a teacher skips school with their students is ridiculous. The teacher is either doing this illegally or with the permission of the administrator. Either way, it's beyond the scope, to say the least. I teach in one of the most liberal schools in Washington State, which is saying something. And I would never be allowed to skip school with my students to fulfill some kind of political agenda. As teachers, we are legally liable for the protection and physical well-being. I also need to tell you a quick story because I think you'll enjoy this. I teach high school biology, and thankfully, I do my job well. I teach my kids to calm down, not to worry about the environment and things they can't control. I had a student interrupt me and ask, "Do you believe in climate change?" I looked at her and just decided I'm tired of giving an F, so I said, "No, I don't need to believe anything. Climate is not a religion," which I think is a great answer, by the way. If someone says, "Do you believe in climate change?" No, I don't. It's not a religion. The next day, in my science meeting, one of the other teachers waited for a quiet moment and asked in front of all the other teachers, "Nathan, I heard from a student that you don't believe in global warming. Can that be true?" I just looked at him and said, "Yes, it's true." The room paused. Everyone looked at me with shock. Another teacher said, "Explain," which I responded with, "No." I quietly packed my stuff and said I knew this would happen and I didn't appreciate it and walked out. The first teacher followed me to my room to ask more questions where I ripped into him about how unprofessional and immature he acted. Believe it or not, he ended up apologizing the next day, and he agreed that he had overstepped. I share that with you because there are crazy teachers, but there are plenty of us standing for truth. I work hard to teach my students.
One.
Well, here he is. I work hard to teach my students about the realities of this world and take a positive approach. The vast majority of teachers are simply teaching what is given to them. The real issue is Pearson Review and higher ed. Yeah, no kidding. It's all in the system, my friend. So anyway, we have these kids who have been indoctrinated, and they're really believing it. And it's not hard to believe you're going to die if that's all you hear your entire life to this day. And then, obviously, whether she's sincere or not, when you have AOC jumping into the mix and confirming it, it's only going to get worse.
Our planet is going to...
This is she did an Instagram, a length cooking Instagram, the kind that Elizabeth Warren only dreams of. She's making chili, which she made with sweet potato, which I don't think belongs in chili.
Might be some sort of a Puerto Rican thing or something. I'm not sure. I've never heard of it.
It could be. Cubes.
It probably does not belong in there, but it might be good.
Worth asking. So here she is.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn the ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult, and it does lead.
This is a great new twist. Instead of saying there's scientific consensus that humans are heating up the planet with cow farts and our own farts and talking like on a podcast,
plane travel,
she says that there's scientific consensus kids aren't going to have it easy. There's no scientific consensus about that.
This is a little twisteroo.
Yes, very, very smart little move.
That the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And
let me roll it back. Hit the whole thing.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn the ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. Is it okay to still have children?
If you have a chance, go back and look at that video where she says this line. The way she says it, the way she tilts her head, the way she looks, there is something about it that it looks like she's been trained to do this professionally. It was just one of the best glances I've ever seen her make. Almost like saying, those of you in the know, you know what I'm doing. But it wasn't quite that. If you can see it, take a look at it.
And, I mean, not just financially, because people are graduating with $20,000, $30,000, $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and so they can't even afford to have kids in a house. But also just this basic moral question, like, what do we do? And even if you don't have kids, there are still children here in the world, and we have a moral obligation to them to leave a better world for them. And this idea that if we just, I've been working on this for X amount of years.
Bullshit. What do you mean X amount of years? She was a waitress. A bartender.
Half.
No, okay. I get. Thank you.
X. That's
X. You're right. X. But you're right. Damn it.
It's like not good enough. Like we need a universal sense of urgency, and people are trying to introduce watered down proposals that are frankly going to kill us.
Kill us! We're going to die.
A lack of urgency is going to kill us. It doesn't matter.
This is, if she doesn't mean this, it's extremely irresponsible. She is the leader of the new voting public. She's telling them they're going to die. I will have to switch my disdain from Dianne Feinstein to AOC if she keeps this crap up.
If you agree that climate change is an important issue, at this point it doesn't matter. If you believe climate change is a problem, that's not even the issue. The issue is how urgently you feel we need to fix it.
All right. So then, she's doing this Instagram and people ask questions, or maybe it was a Periscope. And, tell her, what is the Green New Deal? Tell us.
Yeah, everyone, I'm making chili.
Oh, wait.
Someone said, please explain the Green New Deal. Thank you for asking. So the whole premise of the Green New Deal is that we're screwed on climate. Like, I'm sorry to break it to you. If we do nothing, there is no hope. Period. That's just a principle across the board.
And that's just a principle across the board. If you do nothing, there's no hope, period.
If we do not act, there is no hope.
Across the board.
Across the board, baby. It's a principle across the board. I've never heard this expression. I like it.
Principle across the board. If we do not act, there is no hope. The only time we can hope is when we act. But when it comes to climate in particular, we're actually screwed. There is a global threat to the planet. A global threat. And at this point, we don't even have to prove it. Just walk outside in winter in a lot of places, and it's either way worse than you're used to or way warmer than you're used to.
I like how I like how cold is worse and warmer is just warmer. Instead of it's either way worse or it's way worse. So what is it? In this case,
I've been here longer than she has on the globe. And I've been in an area of probably too long, so I'm really used to its changes over the years and the fact that it snowed in 1972. And I'm not saying anything that these people are talking about. It doesn't exist. They're deluded. I can look out the window, and there's the mud flats that have been here for over 100 years, not 1 inch extra of water. It's just like, I can't see why everybody can't just notice that. It's almost like people come to San Francisco and they're here for, or the Bay Area, they're here for I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. Even after 4 or 5 years, every July 4th, when the fog rolls in and ruins the fireworks, which it does every year, and it has been doing that every year forever.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh God, this is terrible. It's getting worse." I can't believe how cold it is in July. Mark Twain talked about being cold in July in the 1800s.
Hey, how about the guy in the early 1800s who went to California and wrote about the fire and the brimstone and it's hell on earth?
Oh yeah, it's burning. Place is burning down.
But AOC is saying something. I think the truth wants to come out, or maybe she's just an idiot, which I don't think. I know you think it, so I'll say it before you do. She says, you can prove it to yourself. Just go outside. It's either way worse or warmer. Implying that global cooling, which I think is really upon us, is way worse than global warming. She doesn't say both are bad.
Prove it. Just walk outside in winter in a lot of places, and it's either way worse than you're used to or way warmer than you're used to. Hurricanes, storms, wildfires. We are dying now.
Oh my God, this woman.
Be careful, though. She is so hated, and so it irks, Fox News, right wing, everybody so much.
She's getting. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, not to you.
Luckily, I'm not worried about it because the Democrat Party will take care of her. They can't put up with this.
Well,
she's off message. She's not on the team.
Let's listen to presidential hopeful Kamala Harris regarding the Green New Deal and see if she's on message.
You cast yourself on the campaign trail as a truth teller. You say we need to tell truths.
Yeah.
What do you say, or tell me if you think this is fair, that as you talk to Democratic voters, they're hungry and they want ideas. And so you'll hear things like the Green New Deal. You'll hear things like Medicare for all. You'll hear things like whether it's taxes. You'll hear things.
Right.
At what point do you say that's our North Star? But we have to be realists.
There's no question we have to be practical. But being practical also recognizes that climate change is an existential threat to us as human beings. Being practical recognizes that greenhouse gas emissions are threatening our air and it's threatening the planet, and that it is well within our capacity as human beings to change our behaviors in a way that we can reduce its effects. That's practical.
Can we afford it?
Of course we can afford it.
$2.5–3 trillion a year for Medicare for all by some studies. Depending on which portions of the Green New Deal you pick to do first, that's money. That you know what the Republicans are going to say, tax and spend liberals, pie in the sky.
One of the things that I admire and respect is the measurement that is captured in 3 letters, ROI. What's the return on the investment? People in the private sector understand this really well. It's not about a cost, it's about an investment. And then the question should be, is it worth the cost in terms of the investment potential? Are we going to get back more than we put in?
So when Mayor Bloomberg, Amy Klobuchar, some of your potential fellow Democrats say, no, it's too much, it's too ambitious, it's too expensive, you think they're wrong?
I look forward to that debate on the debate stage. I look forward to it very much.
Okay, we'll see how you do on that debate stage. But she takes the financial route. And this was discussed only like 5 weeks ago at, I think it was Stanford University. Bill Gates was there for, it was the portable regeneration. No, it's like something like portable energy conference. It doesn't matter, but he was the main guest, one of those sitting on stage, 2 chairs, Kara Swisher type deal. And he really goes off on the current thinking, which is the Kamala Harris thinking here, and it kind of steers the conversation quite abruptly and righteously towards nuclear.
So a lot of people
stop. We have to remember he's a huge investor.
Yes.
In nuclear. So whatever he says is tainted.
Well, it's only...
By the way, before you play this clip, I was thinking about this too. All the anti-nuke stuff, we got some notes from one of our producers. Says, these guys are boneheads, the nuke industry. And we're talking, because I asked we have a number of people in the business.
Yes, including Sir Rod Adams.
To our show, and they tell us stuff.
Yes.
And they're all befuddled by the 2 things. One, China's building 71 nukes.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that in this country, and the media doesn't talk about it.
No.
They're all in. Meanwhile, France is shutting theirs down because they're stupid.
Germany shut theirs down.
And Germany already shut theirs down. And so there's this almost as though there's a propaganda thing. Maybe it's run by the Chinese to screw us.
Well,
this is what Trump says about global warming. He doesn't say it anymore, but he said it a long time ago.
Yeah, he said it was a financial scam
from the Chinese.
Could be, but
and the reason I say that is because all you can get into uranium stocks, mining stocks, dirt cheap.
No, hold on.
It's a buyer's market.
We got to go back to the origin of the problem, China syndrome. We need to go to 3 Mile Island. We have to look at Chernobyl, and then you have to look at Fukushima. The same thing that has been happening with this climate change bullcrap has happened to nuclear. And to some degree, people were rightfully worried about, okay, what happens with this stuff?
Well, and they'll stop you again. What about guys like Alex Jones, who's on, spending all his time on Rogan's show and doing his other thing, who's, he seems like a reasonable guy about a lot of this stuff. He's anti-nuke. By the way, I'm going to be selling you iodine pills because Fukushima is going to be washing up on the California shores.
That's called a business model.
Well, it's pretty insincere if you ask me, so I can't believe a word the guy says.
Well, we have always been proponents of nuclear. We see the benefits, and if you look at a real cost benefit analysis or SWOT analysis, let's do that one, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Yeah, some of these Gates actually addresses this in this clip. So I'm just going to let it play, and I have 2 of them actually, but this is the first one.
So a lot of people are very optimistic, as you know, with wind and solar, the renewables cost coming down, the battery costs are coming down. You think that's enough, or do you think
that
they need
is
more?
So disappointing. I mean, really. Václav yesterday, he said, okay, here's Tokyo, 27 million people. You have 3 days of a cyclone basically every year. It's 22 gigawatts rate over 3 days. Tell me what battery solution is going to sit there and provide that power. I mean, let's not joke around. You're multiple orders of magnitude, $100 per kilowatt hour. That's nothing. That doesn't solve the reliability problem. And remember, electricity is 25% of greenhouse gas emissions. Whenever we came up with this term clean energy, I think it screwed up people's minds because now they don't understand. I was at this conference in New York, I won't name it, And they were saying, all these financial guys got on stage and said, oh, we're going to rate companies in terms of their CO2 output. And we're going to say this company puts out a lot of CO2 and financial markets are magical. And all of a sudden the CO2 will stop being emitted. And I was like, okay, how are you going to make steel? Do you guys on Wall Street, do you have something in your desks that makes steel? What? Where's the fertilizer, cement, plastic? Where's it going to come from? Do planes fly through the sky because of some number you put on a spreadsheet? So the madness of this so-called finance is the solution. I just don't get that. There is no substitute for how the industrial economy runs today.
Right. And that's something that, we're always just told about. Drive an electric car. That's all you need to do. Drive an electric car and everything else will be fine. We won't be using all these fossil fuels. And of course we are, because you can't do all these things that he spoke about. And here's what he sees in the future.
Expensive. In fact, in the U.S., nuclear is not even close to being competitive. It's probably a factor of 4 or 5 non-competitive. The key parameters in a nuclear build are how long it takes to build, what your interest rate of your money is, and maybe some uncertainty factor of whether you get stopped or not. And so in China, those numbers are basically 3 to 4 years and 2%. Whereas in the U.S., there may be 8 to 9 years, 15%, and maybe 50% chance you'll get shut down before you get started. So when you're competing with super cheap natural gas, there's no way. Also, current designs are, although per output it's the safest form of energy ever created, more than, say, natural gas lines that blow up in neighborhoods or coal mines that create particulate that's not good for health. Because it happens in Chernobyl-like events, it's unfortunate. Those designs that have high pressure and they don't have a good heat pool and they require operators to actually look at lights and do things, it's a pathetic design. And yet it hasn't been changed. It hasn't been redone in the digital age where we can massively simplify it, make sure there's no pressure anywhere, which forces you to, in our case, a sodium pool design. So it's on paper, which is where it exists in this incredible simulation. This thing is phenomenal, incredible. An end of so-called fourth generation nuclear. It's the only well-funded project. Even so, it requires the U.S. and China to work together. How's that going? It requires a lot of patient capital, but nuclear in China is cheaper than coal.
Aha! I propose a summit between Bill Gates and AOC.
Oh,
can you imagine that?
I know Bill well enough.
he would walk away, wouldn't he? Walk right out of the room after 1 minute.
Well, if he ever got in the room,
right.
But if she shut up and listened, he might talk to her. But that doesn't seem like that's a non-starter.
But this is good information he's giving out.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe that Bill could be, since he's really, he's focused. He's a focused guy, and I think he's bored stiff with running the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He can let his wife do that, and
she seems to like it.
Yeah, and to free him up, because to be honest about it, he wouldn't mind being roaming around.
And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
And he could push the nuclear agenda in a very powerful way, because the guy is seen as this superstar guru genius, and he might be the father of modern nuclear. I mean, you don't know.
Yes, either he'll be the father of modern nuclear, or he'll be vacationing with Alan Dershowitz. One of the two.
One of the two. But I would say this: that he has all the. He's already invested in these things, and he's not stupid.
He's got standing.
He wouldn't make a mistake, invest in something lousy, and he's always. I think this is a positive this is a good clip. These are good clips.
Yes. Well, we are pro this idea, and that would be the no agenda New Deal.
It is a flaw in the ointment with the green people.
Yeah.
The hatred of nuclear.
Well, that's why, remember, this is all projection, wat je zegt bij jezelf. Whenever AOC says, he's just taking money from big oil, I'm thinking, sure, maybe you're taking money from big oil. Who the hell knows? Everybody's taking money from somewhere for something.
I don't know where the money from big oil is going, but we're not getting it.
That's right. And we're closing the gate on you.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
You can send your checks to us, Big Oil. We're interested. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to the man who put the C in C-SPAN 3, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all boats on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and nights out there.
In the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com. Yay, trolls. Happy to see you. Got a nice big window on my new setup to see you even better than before I see you there. And in the morning to... Well, that's noagendastream.com. A reminder. In the morning to Cesium 137. Cesium is one of our artists. We have many of them. You can check out all the work at noagendaartgenerator.com. And we choose one for the show album art every single time. And this one from Cesium 137 was the classic Rosie We Can Do It with AOC's head in there. And I have said, I'm sure this has been done. And you're like, no, Cesium's a pro artist. And this hadn't even been done anywhere that we were able to find.
No, I did a search, the image search, and there was nothing. There was a lot of variations of that old poster, but there was nothing with AOC's head.
It's well done.
I mean, we do check. I mean,
yeah, of course.
It's like, yes, he's a pro. I mean, he may have done it himself before, but you'd think somebody would have done that image. That's the reason we checked.
Yeah, that's what was interesting about it.
But no, he's an original.
Well, we really appreciate
one of our guys.
You doing that for us, Cesium 137, and that was what was it? Truancy Crimes for episode 1115.
She should buy that poster from him and put her re-election campaign using it.
No.
It's not ridiculing her.
No, okay. That's
What?
I don't know. It's I don't know if that's a good idea. I want her to stay around. I don't want her to do something stupid.
That wouldn't be stupid. I think they could get her reelected.
You think? Oh, okay. Well, the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group is available.
She's going to have trouble getting reelected because they're going to go after her.
Someone will.
But she's one of those. She is a boots on the ground type that goes into her district and probably schmoozes a lot, and she can get, she should be able to get reelected, but she's a bonehead.
If you're new to the No Agenda show and you don't know exactly how it works, you didn't hear any commercials, no live reads for anything. Oh my goodness! Do you want to hear something funny? Want to hear let me play a game. Before we start with thanking our executive producers and associate executive producers. This is the Pod Save the Privileged. You know Pod Save the Privileged. It's Pod Save the World, the former Obama speechwriters who have a podcast.
Yeah.
And I've been paying attention to their live reads for their advertising. Right. See, they're not supported by their audience. No, they talk amongst themselves, and I don't think they give a shit about the audience. They never really speak to them. It's just themselves, and we're great, and we're doing a show, and woo!
Everybody wants to be a podcaster.
Now, you and I have dealt with ad sales departments, with advertisers. Tell me how you would feel if you were the advertiser, and this is how Pod Save the Privileged did your live read.
Support for this podcast comes from the new CNN original series, The Bush Years, narrated by Ed Harris.
I just want to note that there is a parenthetical in this ad that says, "We are asked not to speak negatively about the content or the show."
Turner, you came to the wrong place.
I like the idea that people are like, yeah, they can do it, but can they be positive about it?
I think our audience is more likely to hate watch this, but you guys do you. Yeah, I want to watch it. Yeah, I don't care. I didn't like George Bush, but I want to watch it. The Bush Years, narrated by Ed Harris. 3 generations, 2 presidents, 1 powerful family. From influential matriarchs and sibling ambitions to a competitive spirit which drove them to power. Go behind the triumph, tragedy, heroism, and faith of one of the most influential names in American politics. The Bush Years premieres Sunday at 9 Eastern on CNN.
You know, I don't think I'd be happy as an advertiser that they read our note saying, please don't be a dick about it.
Personally, I don't think it killed the ad. I don't think they ruined the ad. I think it added a little. And I think they think this too. It added some charm, but. And I think that's what if you were the guy at the whoever's buying the ads for that operation, and I was CNN, you'd probably make that argument.
Yeah.
But I would say, as the advertiser, I don't care if it improved it or not. That's not what we paid for.
Exactly.
I want to make good.
Exactly. Make good time. That's what I was thinking too. We agreed to this.
It's fine. Maybe it's
it might have worked cute, but that's not what we paid for. I agree.
We paid for this, and you didn't give us this.
Guess which ad they go straight into?
I don't know.
That's all we have to say about that. Pod Save America is brought to you by Tommy John. When men and women upgrade from their
right to another ad,
straight into an underwear ad. That thing and that ad is horrible. They really butchered that one. Anyway, we're not beholden to advertisers, and we don't have to think about anyone being pissed off about what we're saying. No one's going to march down the hall and give me shit. No hotline ringing. No.
Bring.
The way we do it is we have you, the producers, support the show. If we don't do the right job, no support, end of show. 11 years and counting. Here are our executive producers and associate executive producers for this year's awards.
1116. Well, at the top of the list is Lori Wolf at Oviedo, Florida. I think I'm pronouncing that right. $315.15. Hi, John and Adam. I wanted to say happy birthday to our daughter, Madeline Wolf, who is probably the best kid ever. She'll be turning 15 on February 28th. Please give her some geometry karma and a goat scream, mainly because every time I hear it, I think it's Howard Dean. We love listening to the show. Gary and Lori Wolf.
Yes, and we have her on the birthday list.
You've got karma.
We're going to go to Miami, and we're going to go to Florida, and we're going to go to Mississippi, and we're going to go to Denver. Jacobina.
It's
Jacobina. Jacobina Koenen.
Jacobina Koenen.
Rosmalen, Netherlands. Rosmalen. $300.11. Hi, it's my first donation, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Well, thank you, Jacobina. Then we go to associate executive producers right now.
Yes.
Gabriel McCall in Pasco, Washington, $286. First-time donor, I'm in good conscience, and I can't in good conscience ask for a de-douching, as I am in arrears on the value for value basis. Love the show, though, and I can afford to help produce this month. If I could get a goat karma, random numbers, I'll take it. And I just started a new job that will entail months of training and testing.
Okay, Gabriel. Goat karma for you. Good luck with the testing.
You've got karma.
With a new job, I mean, after testing. Yes.
Alex Van Abel in Bronx, New York. Alex Van Abel in Bronx, New York, yeah. $256. ITM, John and Adam, first-time donor here. I humbly request a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
Your show has been an invaluable source of comfort and sanity. I like to now see the guy, our man before him, Alex, didn't want a de-douching, and Chris did. So it's up to you.
It works.
I'm sorry, Gabriel.
Gabriel, yeah.
Didn't want it, and Alex did. Chris is next. Chris Black in Jamaica and Guyana.
Right there in the new oil field's backyard.
Well, he left a long note. It's actually a long PS, but I'll read the whole note. It's long, though. I'm procrastinating, a long-time listener, first-time donor. Tell Adam to line up some Sharpton clips for me and a douchebag clip, since it may be a while again. No, I will go for Black Knight. Thanks for the dedication and commitment to the show. I produce my own reggae music podcast, so I know that work that goes into it and such tedious tasks as artwork and metadata. I listen and follow many creators, so I'm catching up on my donating. P.S. Yeah, there's actually that part was okay, but this is interesting. On a serious note, I live in Jamaica and Guyana, so I appreciate your taking the time to tune into the mainstream news. I heard Adam mention Guyana a few shows ago and thought it would chime in about the Venezuela crisis.
Yes.
Here we go. In 2015, Guyana elected their Obama, who came out of nowhere and has upset the ruling PPP government. If you dig deeper, you will see he had training and education, quote unquote, for a couple of years in the United States.
Oh, surprise.
That's just like our guy in Venezuela.
Yeah, Guaido.
Fast forward a few years, and the U.S. now has access to Guyana, this region, and the oil offshore, which was not able to do because of the prior administration's close ties with the Chinese. It's rumored that the Chinese are building a large spy center inside the currently being constructed embassy. Last December, there's
Hello, that's what embassies are.
I know.
It's new.
Like,
this is nothing new, but okay.
Sorry, Chris.
Hey, Guyana, we know you're just coming on the scene and everything, but this is what you can expect.
Last December, there was no confidence vote. There was a no confidence vote that ousted the current president, a story which would seem like something out of a thriller movie. The president administration would have been taken out of office until the U.S. stepped in, and the matter has been in court and a total mess. And to that add to that, the population in Guyana is about half black and half Indian. So there's a tense political climate. Then the other day, after the no confidence vote, Venezuelan warships intercepted an oil survey ship operating for ExxonMobil in disputed waters. Exxon suspends the operations the next day. This increased the tensions between Guyana and Venezuela, and Guyana is going to the international community for help. Currently, there's an influx of Venezuelans migrating to Guyana. I've been traveling to Guyana for 6 years, and I've never seen the pretense of foreigners going. It says pretense of as many foreigners going as I see now. So there's a lot to the situation. Cheers.
All right. Well, we got boots on the ground, so we expect to hear from you again soon, Chris. This is very good.
Yes, we do.
It's it's smaller than Austin, population-wise. It's what, 800,000 people in all of Guyana. It's not very big.
Yeah.
And what did he need? He needed a Sharpton and what would he say at the top there? Sharpton and I'll give him Sharp.
Hold on. I got to get the back. Put it aside.
I'm sorry.
douchebag and Sharpton clips.
Douchebag or D-douche?
No, douchebag.
Who's
he says he will be a while before he donates again.
Oh, okay.
Neighborhood watch captain says he shot the teen in self-defense, but the young man was not armed. He was going back home after buying an iced tea and Skillet's candy. No name calling, no incendiary language, just the facts. A young man dead. The assailant says self-defense. What is found on the young man, skillets and iced tea. R-E-S-P-I-C-T.
You've got karma.
Skillets, baby.
Skillets. It's the way to go. Wes Harris in San Marcos, Texas, 23980. Thank you for all you do. John and Adam, I've been taking advantage of your hard work for a long time.
Are you
okay? Douching ahead of Saturday's Austin meetup.
Are you okay? It sounds like you're burping.
I got the hiccups.
I hate it when that happens.
So I don't reek. Okay.
He needs a de-douching.
Please wish a happy birthday to my smoking hot wife, Julie, who turns 39 on Saturday as well. I easily convinced her to spend the evening celebrating with the No Agenda community.
Wow.
We had
goodness.
He says keep hitting him in the mouth. It ends it. When we had a little mini meetup in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so there's I think eight or nine guys showed up. But there was actually all their spouses were there.
Sure.
But none of them was meeting with the guys. They were all in the back. I didn't know until they were all leaving.
His
wife would come up to me and say, "My husband really likes the show. He likes the show." And they left. And another wife would come. My husband's a big fan. And then they would look at this. She left. It was just like, okay.
Well, so here's why This is just what it is.
This is the South. The Southern women, they seem to be less likely to join in with the men.
Well, we have the No Agendapendence Day, which is this coming Saturday. It is March 2nd, and that is at the Austin Austin Beer Works. Start at 3:33 p.m. That's in Austin. It's going to be a really, really big meetup. You can find all the information at noagendameetups.com. What?
Got a 509 last night after.
Oh, really? Gee, I hope it's still up. Here's the good news, Wes, for your smoking hot wife, Julie. Just tell her the MTV guy will be there. See, that's a little benefit. So anyone who's coming along, male or female, when they know the MTV guy, all right, I don't know about that No Agenda show thing that you listen to, husband, wife, whatever. There's some wives who listen, husbands don't. The MTV guy, yeah, I'll talk to him for a second.
Well, the site's up at the moment, and I was told by Mimi, just go on. The poor guy doing the independent Arlington, Virginia meetup on March 3rd, which is Sunday.
That's a DC girl. That's
the DC
girl.
Is it DC girl?
It's not a guy, it's a gal.
Well,
yes.
She says that she talked to some guy who's worried sick that there's only going to be 9 people showing up.
Oh.
And I said, okay, well.
Well, wait, hold on a second. This is weird because DC girl is not the guy Mimi's talking to. This is a rogue person.
I don't know.
Oh, no. It's a friend. No, it's a friend of hers. See, I'm looking at the troll room. It's a friend of hers. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. So it's.
Well, the guy's worried sick.
Oh, this is not good.
I'm going to plug it because everyone wants me to plug this.
Where are the spooks? Spooks come out in droves. The 3rd of March.
Come on, spy on this. Come on, we need some spies.
You just got to go spot each other.
It's March 3rd, 12 to 3. And I believe March 3rd must be Sunday.
Yes, it is.
12 to 3. 2800 South Randolph Avenue in Arlington.
Yes. That's where I was born.
South Randolph Avenue in Arlington. I don't know what the Cafe Pizziola.
Yes.
Something.
Pizziola. Arlington is where I was born. I was born.
Get a few people. You got nothing to do on a Sunday afternoon. And I guess you can listen to the show. They're going to be playing the show live.
Oh, cool. In the Pizziolo?
Yeah.
Live from the Pizziolo in Arlington.
It's No Agenda.
It's well done. Well pronunciated. Okay. Good.
Okay, onward.
Oh, wait. What is certainly we need to do something here for Wes, don't we?
Give him a
karma. Give him a karma.
You've got
karma.
All right, onward. Rob Wales in Concord West, New South Wales, Australia. Well, that's interesting. He lives in New South Wales, Australia, and his name is Wales.
Wow. That's really interesting.
$201. It's been too long and too much value received for so little in return, so it's time for me to bring the ledger back into some semblance of balance. Today, I achieve that second objective of all producers, to become a knight. The first objective, of course, is simply to donate. I can't claim, like so many seem to do, that I've been a listener since episode 1. But I was a Twit convert and have been. I was there with the early $2 a month subscriber way back when. That's pretty close to episode 1.
I think so
like
too.
Within the first 2 years, I think we came with this idea. And by the way, I'm going off this little bit on the side here. This is one of the things you see with these newbies that come into the podcast realm, and they decide
the podcasting space.
The space. Podcasting space.
Yes.
And they decide that they're going to go listener supported. And they do the math in their heads. You know, if I can get 200,000 listeners to listen, all I have to do is ask them for $2 a month.
Oh, yeah. This is how it goes.
That would be like 200,000. That's $400,000 a month over. Oh my God!
I'll be rich.
$4 or $5 million a year.
Woo! It's better than blogging.
First of all, $2 is too little.
Yeah.
If you get 200,000 listeners, if you get 10% of them to give you anything, it's a miracle.
Right. But what percentage of people that we know of actually donate? It's like 1%. maybe
I'm
1.5.
it's around 1%. And I do this by reverse calculating the numbers and the number of people on the mailing list and all the rest of it.
Yeah, because we don't actually know how many people listen. And if anyone tells you they do, they're full of shit. They just don't.
It can't be done.
No.
But you can kind of figure it out by doing a reverse calculation and assuming about 1% of the listening audience maybe gives you, and they're big supporters. And then that's why you have to give them leeway.
Yes.
There are people out there. And I'm telling you, this is a lecture to the podcasters who think that they're going to get by with $2 a month. We dropped the $2 a month thing.
Yeah, after a week. After a week, I think.
Well, we went to $4 a week or higher, but it's because people, if they get any benefits from the show, they see the value, and they'll give you more than that. And some of them have money they really have a lot of expendable income, and they'll be very generous, and you want to encourage that. You don't want to discourage it, which is what you do. I'm talking to podcasters. Is what you do when you say, $1 a month, chip in.
Yeah, you used chip in on the email this time. I liked it.
I did use chip in. I did it on purpose.
How did it work?
It didn't do much.
Surprise. We were going back and forth on email. I said, oh, man, you used chip in. Great. He says, yes, maybe it's magical. Well, no. Turns out no magic. Well,
but they're using it. All the pros are using it. I'm not saying the pros,
but just
the real pros. I'm talking about the
political pros,
the guys who run
the emails for everybody. Yeah,
and they're doing. It's always the same people. You can tell the writing's the same.
But there's
there's
a critical element, John. There's a critical element, and it's what we're doing right now. We have always thanked people, and because there's became too much for the show. There was more thanks than show. We made certain cutoffs and we made certain decisions, and we bring our executive and associate executive producers forward at an earlier segment. But not only do we allow people to communicate through numerology, which is really the main thing. All these numbers have a meaning. I mean, if Tina and I talk about this a lot, because she has, Ronald McDonald House has, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, other. And I look at our list, 315, 15, 311. These are all messages. It's all a part of something that people want to communicate with numbers, and we read it. It's the most transparent. It makes everyone feel good. There's content in here which makes people want to listen to it. Yeah, there's a little drop off, but people like to listen to what other people have to say.
It's interesting.
Thank you.
All right, I'll continue reading this note so we don't go on and on about this. It's just a message to the people in trying to do well on podcasting. I gave up on Twit long before John did, and even got a few DSC episodes in before Adam gave up on that. By the way, Adam, whatever happened to that gold brick?
It's a bad story, man. I didn't.
Yeah, man, you don't want to ask.
Don't want to ask, man. Don't ask about the brick.
If I use the Aussie dollaroos as my gauge, I'd have been a knight some time ago. See accounting, but in that we're giving him a knighthood today. I believe.
Of course.
But in the world's default currency, it's now for real. To make it worse, I actually lose 3 cents a dollar on the current mid exchange rate.
Jeez.
Thanks, pretty much. Thanks PayPal. Sorry. Please knight me, Sir Rob of the Great Southern Land. And for the round table, I'm happy with anything that has to do with drugs, food, alcohol, or sex. So that's pretty much everything on the list. Yoo-hoo. I'm not sure what
Yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo?
Maybe it's a Simpsons call.
Now, does he need anything?
There's a crew here who'd love a visit. John won't leave his hideout overlooking the Golden Gate Fields. So, Adam, get your finger out and get down under. I can show you a fantastic day sailing on Sydney Harbor.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah. Well, after we move, we got to, we got approved for our slave mortgage.
Yeah, I bet you did.
It wasn't that easy, believe me.
So entail a huge balloon payment.
So, Mr. Curry, explain again how you make money and what? Huh? Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So after all that,
I'm guessing that without Tina, this would not have happened.
Hell no. No, we bought it together.
She has a real job.
Yeah, she has a real job, has real money, and is a real woman. I don't know why she puts up with me. All right.
Kevin Silverman is our last associate executive producer, $200.20 for people keeping track. This donation is coming out of my last paycheck from the U.S. Navy as I'm retiring on February 28th after a 20-year enlistment.
Wow.
I was fortunate to experience quite a lot in my time. I work on a submarine. We got another subs in the water guy.
There you go.
Work on a submarine and a destroyer. I guess he's doing something. Who knows what? Doesn't say. Deployments around the country, around the world, and meeting the strangest and coolest people. From now, I'll be intentionally unemployed while I sleep late, avoid traffic jams, and play shows around Baltimore with my band, Cyberstrike. I'm sure I'll need some jobs karma later on when I run out of money, but in the meantime, please pass on some karma to all the military men and women who are still in harm's way around the world. Also, some karma to John and Adam to keep the best podcast in the universe going until they actually can't talk anymore. Jingles, Rubbleizer, Dealer, Sharpton's Choice, and a goat scream.
India, Tango, Mike, stand by. 33, 33, 33. Rubbleizer out.
But resist, we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
You've got karma.
That's our associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1116. I want to thank all of them for keeping the show alive.
And I think I have two make goods. I'm not sure about Baron Sir JD from Silicon Valley.
I have his note here.
Okay, well, you want to just read it? Because I feel like
maybe this has come from the wrong email. He's got an issue. He got into Vortex. People do this.
Yeah, it
should
happens.
remind everybody this can happen to anyone.
Yes.
The vortex is where you get into a back and forth with one of the two of us to get something read, never gets read, and then we forget about it, and then it doesn't get read again.
It's a horrible black hole.
It can go on for months.
It could, yes. It's very bad.
And it's happened. It's gone on for months with certain people.
Yeah.
Adam, thanks for the note. Lovely to see you and Keeper surviving the frozen tundra of the Midwest. But it's just before the cutoff, a few minutes before the cutoff of the show. But hey, a busy show, lots of donations, no biggie. I should have sent it in earlier. But still no credit for show 1112. He sent some money in for show 1111.
Yes, he did.
Then he got bumped. Then I sent this note before 1114. Still nothing. Not trying to be a big complaining baby, but dudes, help me figure out how this ends up being a positive thing for the show and good karma back to me. Perhaps an entertaining anecdote read by John from the classic Shays Lounge and a Man on the Street interview near the Leaning Tower. Please credit me for some show soon. This was a 3339 donation, so clearly an executive, but maybe you could we'll put him on today's list.
Yes, of course. I don't know what happened.
If you could add me back to the show notes for 1111, it would be nice.
He wants to be there.
I was hoping to get word out for a simultaneous meetup, and here's what happened. Your note went into the meetup pile, and then Adam said, "I don't want another meetup," and you got stuck in the vortex.
Yeah, and I'm really
also was trying to pass back some value for value and say that karma does work. See message below. And then he has one of his other messages. He's got a lot of notes in. And then the
message is, I asked for some jobs karma back towards the end of 2018 and again in January, just as I was wrapping up a couple of VCISO, whatever that is, consulting contracts, needed to start planning for a new gig. The power of the No Agenda Nation came through again. Last week, I joined Malwarebytes, one of the rising cyber outfits in the Valley that is doing both
nice.
Good for the people and doing great business. What are they about, Cyberbytes?
Well,
Malwarebytes.
Malwarebytes is one of the two main, Spy Hunter being the other one, which I've used both.
I use Spy Hunter.
I don't use Malwarebytes anymore because...
Careful.
He's just starting. Tell you,
just starting.
I use Spy Hunter because I started off with had some very strange infection that was hijacking my browser, and everybody was saying they could see it. That you got to take it out by hand. You got to do this. Then nobody could fix it. And then when we tried the hand fix it, you couldn't get rid of it. It was really a dynamite product in terms of like being corrupting your system. Spy Hunter did it. They fixed it, and I was clean. So then but I still use Malwarebytes once in a while for other things because these things, none of these, no two do everything the same.
Not exactly the same. No.
Recently, though, I put Malwarebytes to work on something, and it corrupted and erased my spyware, my Spy Hunter. Spy Hunter.
It saw it as spyware.
It said, "Oh, look at this, out!" And so I reinstalled and erased it again. And so I called the customer support, which they do have at Spy Hunter, and I think malware. Oh yeah, well. Yeah, they've been erasing our program. Well, that's unacceptable.
Right.
So it says now JD's there.
Yeah. Now we have to go try out the products again.
That he would fix that issue because it's not acceptable to erase a competitor's product.
Well, it depends. From an investor standpoint, it's dynamite.
Well, it's a funny idea. I thought it was funny.
Well, it technically is spyware, or not malware, but it's spying on you.
Yeah, they're all spying.
Anyway, Baron Sir JD of Silicon Valley, apologies. I hope we've made up for this. Congratulations on the new gig. And then
I would say this: instead of doing this separate, we'll have to organize another Bay Area meetup and he'll be a big part of it because he showed up at the last one with an offer of doing dollar for dollar. Which was
a match.
He doesn't have to do that.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Well,
he's big Silicon Valley guy.
He's a good guy, and he has a lot of. He's a charming guy. That's a good element of, especially amongst the dudes named Ben. All right.
Yes. One other make good, which was kind of. Well, we could have seen this coming, but this was when I was in Iowa. It was 11 degrees. Taco from Den Dolder. Now he donated $1,000 to the last show, and he was an Insta-Knight. But instead of saying I'm a knight, and he's from Holland, so he kind of did a Dutch thing by saying, "Hey, with this nightly donation, et cetera, et cetera." So no one really caught it that was a knighting.
Well, I did say something. I said, "Well, he's got nothing here." He didn't.
Yeah, well, I didn't catch it either. So anyway, he wants to be knighted Sir Taki. His name is Taco from Den Dolder, so Sir Taki, definitely. And what did he want? He wanted to hear respect. So I'll give him a quick respect and a karma.
RESPICT.
You've got karma.
There you go. Okay, we fixed everything. Everybody's happy. Everybody's on board. Taco, I'll see you later at the round table for your knighting. I'm very excited about that. And I'd like to thank everybody who supported us, our executive producers and associate executive producers. This is a credit you can use anywhere credits are recognized. They are valuable because executive or associate executive means something in the biz. So display that proudly, perhaps even on your Twitter profile. People seem to like doing that. And we will return on Sunday for another show. I will be coming to you from the lowlands. I'm going to the Netherlands. No, I'm sorry. Sunday I'll be here. It's the week after. Well, forget what I said. Sunday, we'll have another show. That will be a report from the big No Agenda Pendants, the Texas meetup at Austin Beer Works on Saturday. And you can always support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Now, if you're a podcaster, you know how to do it. Go out and propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Chemtrails.
Shut up, slave.
A couple of things. First of all, in the Iowa meetup, how did the thing? Do we have a process for donating to the show in person, which is to put them, whatever, a check or whatever you want to put in an envelope with a note with your name and address?
That's the
whatever.
process.
So,
yes.
And you put it in an envelope and then hand the envelope over. How did that work there? Because I don't think
that worked extremely well. I think there was only one donation that had cash in it that had no name. Everyone else had their name on it. I think we got everybody.
All envelopes, or somebody just gave
all
you?
All envelopes. All envelope. I think everyone got it.
Okay.
And it's really just for practicality. But also, people have all kinds of, if you have some cool stuff, and I love, challenge coins, stuff people have made, put it
gifts.
in something you can, gifts, put it in something you can close up again, so we can take it back, and I can, reuse the envelope to send John's his portion of it. And
Reuse the envelope.
Yeah. I don't. Who has an envelope for like
I
name
have
badges?
envelopes.
Yeah. Well, you should send me some of the stuff that comes into the PO box then.
Well, it's usually just going to fall through. Yeah, but I mean to. Okay. I just wanted to know how that was working out because it's a protocol that needs to be
repeat it. No, it worked out really well. And
I want to bring Sir JD back into it. I believe that the Austin meetup will maybe be the biggest, most important meetup we've had.
It's a long time coming, that's for sure.
Because of the Texans and all their grousing.
And we have celebrity guests, Tina the Keeper. We have Sir Gene. We have Eric the Shill is going to be there. This is going to be a hootenanny.
Now, so my point is that we need to do another meetup in the Bay Area to top it.
Oh,
so Sir JD needs to be thinking about that.
There's just no way you guys can compete with Texas. Come on. No way. Not going to happen.
I could probably beat you in L.A. All right. What else you got?
Well, a number of things. Let me see.
Well, let me start with a couple of things. There's a couple of... for one thing, let's get the India-Pakistan thing out of the way.
Yeah, that's definitely something we need to talk about because no one else is.
Now, it looks like a horrible, threatening thing. They brought an expert on, one of these, professors, instead of just your normal talking heads. That's some guy who actually knew what he was talking about. He's a Pakistani professor, writer, and they give him a good introduction here on Democracy Now! And as soon as he says what's going on here, it's like, oh, brother, why did we even? It's really not newsworthy if you think about it in these terms.
We had producers write in and say similar stuff, so I'm very curious about this. What is this from again?
Democracy Now!
We're joined right now by Zia Min, a Pakistani-born physicist, nuclear expert, and disarmament activist. He's co-director of the Program on Science and Global Security at the Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs at Princeton University. Professor Min is co-author of Unmaking the Bomb, a fissile material approach to nuclear disarmament and nonproliferation. Professor Zia Min, welcome to Democracy Now! Can you respond to this latest escalation? While there's this split screen between Michael Cohen and North Korea, the summit in Vietnam, you have this very serious escalation between two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan.
The escalation in fighting between India and Pakistan is a grave source of concern for people all over the world. But it's part of a larger and ongoing crisis that surges into the news every so often. And so for many people, including those in the United States, this is something that they've seen before, and so they don't expect it necessarily to escalate into an all-out war with the kind of catastrophic implications that we expect war between nuclear-armed states to have.
Professor Mian, could you talk about the February 14th attack that occurred inside of Indian-administered Kashmir and the supposed reason by the group known as JEM that claimed responsibility?
The Jaish-e-Mohammed, which translates as the Army of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, goes back to 2000. It's a radical Sunni militant group that has been fighting with support from the Pakistani army and its intelligence service, ISI, against India in Kashmir ever since then, and has launched many, many attacks into Indian Kashmir and even into India proper. So this is just the most recent of a long line of attacks by Jaish-e-Mohammed. But the larger issue, I think, is not this one particular attack and how Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist government in Delhi has tried to respond to it to show that it's strong because they're having an election in India, and so the Prime Minister and his party wants to prove how strong and tough they are.
It's a classic move.
It's a total classic. As soon as he said the election, I said,
"Oh,
we do this all the time.
Yeah,
this is what we do. This is the United States play."
Hey, it's a question, and this is going to sound uneducated. Witness the MTV guy. What is the core beef between India and Pakistan?
They hate each other.
Yeah, okay. But is it religion? Is it just the Kashmir
reason? There's a little
reason?
religious aspect to it. There's Muslims versus Hindus. They don't get along.
Is that the core? I mean, that's the core reason?
I think so.
It's
I think
kind of like
one of the core reasons.
Like
I think culturally they don't get along. I mean, for example, there's some cultural differences between these groups that make it so they just don't. It's like the Germans and the French. You know, that some
or how about
they don't like each other.
The Flemish and the Walloons?
Yeah, similar. Now I have a little tip for people who like.
Or is it maybe it's Windows versus Mac, iOS versus Android?
I think it's a little more extreme than that.
Okay,
but it could be. But those guys are pretty bad. If you're gonna buy basmati rice, and I'm not saying this to insult any Indians, the non-donating Indians, the donating Indians are okay.
Zero donating Indians.
I don't want to insult any Indians. But if you're going to buy basmati rice, by the way, Fawn, F-A-W-N brand is absolutely the best. But if you're going to buy basmati rice, always buy Pakistani. Buy Pakistani basmati rice.
You're asking for it now. You're asking for it now.
If you have a choice, you buy Pakistani. And if you have a real choice, you get Fawn, F-A-W-N. Now, why? Ask me why.
Why, John? Why is this?
Rice?
What is it about the Pakistani basmati rice that kicks ass over the Indianis?
It's a million times cleaner.
Oh,
basmati rice needs to be washed to death.
Yeah, washed. Yeah.
And if you don't, with the Pakistani rice, it's just not as dirty.
Wait, stop. So just like we know that the whole Middle East problem is really about who makes better hummus, are you telling me that the India-Pakistan conflict really is about whose basmati rice is better?
Well, to me it is, but I'm sure there's more to it.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Now, this guy, this professor does continue with another little bit here. It's only 40 seconds, but he does his real complaint, and I think this is a complaint that needs to be made. We might as well play it out.
The real issue that we need to talk about is the fact that this level of violence between India and Pakistan has continued for a very, very long time, and that it's not so much the military on military violence, but the fact that large numbers of civilians along the line of control that divide Indian Kashmir and Pakistani Kashmir are caught in this endless barrage of artillery and firing across there, which claims civilian casualties on a regular basis, and also the fact that no one seems interested in thinking about what the future of this conflict and these people trapped in Kashmir between these two states determined to resolve their issues by force. I mean, what's the future going to be like for these people?
Yeah, just a bunch of innocents in the middle getting killed constantly.
Right. Well, that's been that way ever since I've been on this earth, as far as I can remember. It's always been that way. We were always at war with Eurasia. I like the basmati rice theory, though.
Oh, you about the basmati?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So it has a little to do with halal and their rules about cleanliness.
We do need to remember that China has a lot of money invested in Pakistan that Pakistan can't pay back. Pakistan just got $20 billion from Saudi Arabia, from MBS himself.
Yeah, that's our donation. I'm sure of it.
Oh, well, yes. That's Trump saying, hey, get in there. Get working on it. We can't have these Chinese taking over everything. So probably part of the $20 billion is, goes off to satisfy some interest, or there's stuff going on. But you got to keep your eye on China, because Pakistan is a big part of their plan. If you remember the 3 Belt No Road BRI syndrome.
And talking about China, I have one of the Huawei executives at the World Mobile Conference.
One of our producers is boots on the ground. He said it's kind of dead this year. He says there's no real cool 5G demos.
It's supposed to be all 5G from what I understood.
Yeah, he says it's like kind of boring. He said the most exciting thing was the Brave browser people are there, and he was propagating the no agenda formula at them. But he said people just walking around in a daze. There's no real cool demos. I mean,
yeah, which it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Well, but let's listen to what the Huawei guy, very erudite character, because the Chinese don't trust anybody, I guess, except their own at this level. And so he has got 2 clips from him.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Hello.
It's great to see you all again.
I love it when these guys come in and do their English versions of their little show, because you got to listen really closely.
There has never been more interest in Huawei. We must be doing something right. Huawei is leading in 5G globally. But we understand innovation is nothing without security.
No.
Let me say this as clear as possible. Huawei has not and will never plant backdoors, and we will never allow anyone to do so in our equipment. We take this responsibility very seriously. Huawei has a strong track record in security for 3 decades, serving 3 billion people around the world. The U.S. security accusation on our 5G has no evidence, nothing. Last month, Zilla published a report saying that Huawei's 5G is 20 times faster than the so-called 5G in the United States. That's in the field test. In commercial use, it's not 20 times faster, but it's still much, much faster.
That's how he started his whole keynote?
Now, what was this? It's 20 times faster, but it's not 20 times faster.
In commercial applications, he said it's not faster.
It's just faster.
I don't... And he's pronouncing his company wrong. It's not Huawei, it's WAPO.
Wappo, wappo, wappo.
You should know better. It's not Huawei. Your company's name is WAPO, boy.
So I thought it was amusing. It just is rambling there, but listen to the second half of it.
I fully understand what President Donald Trump said last week. The United States needs powerful, faster, and smarter 5G.
Yeah, we do. I guess we need powerful, more faster 5G. No, I'm not so sure. Well, I'm torn now which direction to go. I think I'll stick here for a second. Just on the 5G for a moment. To be clear, for purposes of our show, 5G, the protocol is uninteresting. It's just a brand name. What's really an issue is the high frequencies they'll be broadcasting on, or transmissions, because it's receive and send, and the amount of power. So when you're talking in the U.S., I believe it's the 29 gigahertz, maybe the 24 gigahertz band. That gets into a territory that you
up to 60.
Yeah, but the first auction was 24 gigahertz. That's a place where you want to be a little bit careful. Besides that, just the entire spy grid that becomes possible is something that may not be desirable, although if you listen to the Wall Street Journal and their special mobile Congress promotion of 5G, the benefits will just be astounding.
What can 5G actually do?
And they have some Brit guy, for some reason, doing this.
It will be 100 times faster than current mobile wireless networks called 4G.
Are you writing it down, John? Just write down all the benefits.
100 times faster?
100 times faster. So you can watch a movie in 10 minutes. It's fantastic. You can listen to this show while you're in the shower. The whole show, because of the 5G, it's so fast.
It could replace your cable service with wireless broadband as fast as fiber.
That's actually something that people don't talk about a lot, but the capability for over-the-top television distribution, I think there's a lot of people looking to jump into that game.
Yeah, let's stop with this right away. First of all, to get into the house, these frequencies, it's very hard for them to penetrate a piece of paper.
No, you're going to have window units and wall units and stuff like that. That's
Yeah, they have to capture it somehow and then beam it into the house.
Window units.
Which is what you don't want. But, okay, there's other ways to get it. You can get into the house if you crank up the amps. You can kind of force it through.
Yeah. Crank up the watts, I think is what you're saying.
I'm thinking of the amps. And so you have you can go through the glass. It actually doesn't go through glass at 60 terahertz, or what we're talking about, these millimeter waves.
Yeah.
They don't like to go through a lot of stuff, but they can be forced into it if you crank it up.
Oh, yeah, it can go. They can go through a bit, sure, but it's watts, not amps. Why do you say amps?
You need the amps to get the watts up there.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
The real power is in the amperage.
Yeah, but remember, I am a licensed amateur radio professional.
Yeah, I know. So am I.
General class.
Yeah. Well, it would be at the head end. It would be a watt. It'd be like instead of a 1 watt sending device, it'd be a 50.
There's talk.
What is it? What is a radio station? What's the big 50,000 watts? Is that the max in the United States we can have?
You still listen to radio?
Yeah, I have a car.
Transmitters? We don't need no transmitters. Yeah, 50K watt. That's pretty much.
So you got 50,000 watts. Okay, we can put 50,000 watts on the telephone pole. But you need the amps to get those watts up there.
Gotcha.
So I just would say amps. I think it means power more than watts.
I know what you're saying. Okay, so onward with the benefits of 5G, because there's got to be something in here that so far
we're missing something, because already I have kids around the table. They're on the phone all the time, and they're doing research on the fly as we have a dinner conversation.
Yes.
So they're on the wiki page and they're reading from the wiki pages, and they're showing YouTube videos on the little phone.
Yeah.
You can't. They download and show. I can see them now. What is going to be faster?
You'll be able to see the YouTube video in shorter time.
If the carriers can figure the costs out, it will also add capacity for millions more devices, something required
there it is.
Yeah.
That was it right there.
Oh, yeah, it's part of it. The millions more devices, which is not really a consumer benefit, but you're going to be told it is, because then, we're in the market for a fridge. Oh my God, the amount of smart fridges that are being, who wants this?
I don't know. Why would you want a smart fridge just going to crap out earlier?
I don't.
Support the growth of smart cities, connected homes, and the
smart cities, which means they're tracking you to figure out what you're doing.
The Internet of Things. But it's another thing that gets the people I've spoken to the most excited.
Ooh, are you ready?
And that's latency.
Oh my goodness. The L word. He brought in the latency. I'm excited.
Let me use a demonstration from Nokia to explain. The robots here are talking to each other wirelessly and are tasked with balancing a ball in the center of the tray. The demo first shows them doing it with 4G and then again with 5G. The time it takes is reduced from 11 seconds to just 3 seconds with 5G. It's those tiny reaction speeds that experts say will make way for a whole range of exciting uses.
Oh, tell me!
New types of devices might come into play, like you could have glasses finally make it.
Oh, those stupid glasses will finally make it.
Connected cars.
Connected cars!
Autonomous vehicles will generate a lot of data.
A lot of data! It
has to be processed at the edge, and that's where 5G can play a significant role.
We got to do processing at the edge. Oh, yeah, I can see why we're all excited.
VR is another area where you don't have to be connected to a wire to experience something. I mean, one benchmark for any new generation is probably when Apple launches their iPhone. Real progress with 5G in terms of devices will probably come in 2020.
It will take some time for 5G to get here, but if history is anything to go by, being first will matter for the economy.
The likes of Ubers and Lyft and Facebook advertising and YouTube advertising were born out of 4G and LTE. The hope is that if US takes an early lead, the ecosystem will continue to thrive and even grow stronger with emergence of 5G.
Okay. Well, you did not convince me, Wall Street Journal, other than frying my brain and tracking me more. I'm not that interested in your 5G. Of course, my 3G E71 will get shut off eventually.
Oh, yeah. You have to go to 4G at least.
Yeah, they're going to turn that off. Maybe that's
actually, I still think 5G is going to be a bust, because I don't think that people are going to want to put a millimeter wave device against their head.
I don't think they'll know, and I don't think they'll care.
Well, it's because I know
there's enough.
I don't want to put it against my head.
I know, but
Did you get the word out?
No, that's no.
You're
it's just no.
A defeatist.
No, I'm not a defeatist. It's just I approach it from a different angle. I'll give you my final OTG strategy so people understand what it is to go off the grid. I have 2 devices in my life on a continuing basis. One is the Nokia.
Wait, let me guess. One is that little phone.
Yes, the Nokia E71.
And the other one's a vibrator.
Yeah, you are on the ball. So I have 3 devices in my life. No, I have the Nokia E71, which I use only for text messaging. And I used to be, I can do a quick email because you can get IMAP email on it. No, I can even open a Word doc. I don't do any of that anymore. I don't care. For me, there is no reason whatsoever to be connected anymore. I don't care. Once I stop caring about it, I'll be back in an hour.
You're talking to the converted.
I know, but there's more people out there who want to know how it works. And it took a little while because I had to reverse a lot of behaviors and this thinking that, it's so important to know what's going on. It's so important. I mean, anywhere you stop, anywhere people are not mobile for a second, boom, the phones are out. And you just see it. And it's rampant and it's sick and you're not well.
It is sick.
It's sick. It really, and everyone's doing it, so you don't really notice it until you stop doing it. And the way to do it is through pain. The pain is you can't do it. You just can't get anything done. Even at a certain point, Tina's texting me. I'm texting back. I can't keep up. I got this physical keyboard. I call her. Say, hey, how about that? Let's talk for a second. And it's very nice. So as a part of your OTG strategy, you do need something else. And for that, I have the Surface Go, a very inexpensive, very small device. It's the size of my original iPad. I have a beautiful little case that it goes into, and I have a hotspot. I think you can get the Surface Go with now with LTE. Don't get that. What you want is to be disconnected. If I really, really, really need to get something, the pain of turning on the dongle, the hotspot, firing up the little computer, and then doing whatever I need to do, that becomes a choice of do I really need to do this? Can I do this later? Is it of utmost importance? When it's really easy to do, you will do it. You have to pain yourself. And how long have I been doing this? 6 months? Would you say?
Longer.
Oh, longer, really. I'm cured. I am completely cured, and I love it. I can even pick up an iPhone now and just do something to get it out of there or whatever and put it back down. Notifications aren't in my life anymore, except for one sound from my phone, and that's only a handful of people, including you. And you called me the other day. That was a surprise. Like, the phone's ringing. So that is the strategy. When people say, "What phone should I get?" Oh, I can get the one that is completely built on open standards, Linux, hardware switches. You're still going to be distracted and looking at your phone when you could be looking at other people looking at their phones. It's a lot more fun.
It is funnier.
It's fun. It's really great because I'm going to be candid. You feel superior. You do.
Well, that's your goal in life.
You just feel superior. Yes, it's my exit strategy. All right.
I'm reminded. I remember a couple, not last Christmas, but the one before, we went to, or Thanksgiving, went to London.
Mm-hmm.
So I take a lot of photos. I have a real camera. I use a real camera. I take photos.
Yeah.
So I was taking some photos. I was looking over some of these old photos, looking for something I could blow up to a huge size, which is what I do. And so I'm looking at these photos I've taken inside the tube.
Yes.
So I had two groups. I had some photos that I took on one of the platforms, probably from about 10 years ago. I was in London for the book fair or something, and I took some pictures of the platform. There's a bunch of people standing around, and they're just standing around there. And then I
reading the paper, maybe even reading the paper held up in front of their face.
They weren't even doing that. They were looking around, and I took a picture this last time I was there, and everybody standing at the platform. If somebody came in with a machine gun, no one would look up. They were all looking at their little phones, all of them.
Yeah, and it's sad. Because we were flying. So when the plane lands, everyone except for me does the same thing. Phone comes out. Everyone and I love standing up as soon as I can to get the carry on. But I spend my time looking at what everyone. I'm looking over their shoulders, looking at what they're, and it's like Twitter, Facebook. Texting at 3 different people at the same time, back and forth between windows. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's an improvement to your quality of life.
I don't think it's healthy when the whole plane lights up.
No. So I want to stay with brown people and yellow people for a second. sticking with China, the trade negotiations continue. The president has said he will postpone the increase in tariffs from 20 to 25% on Chinese imports. And they were doing one of those Trumpian news conferences where the press is there and he had his team, his negotiating team. And Bob, was it Bob? Forget Bob. Bob's one of the top negotiators. He said something, and the president just slapped him down, and this guy, he whimpered off like a little bitch. It was great.
I don't like MOUs because they don't mean anything. To me, they don't mean anything. I think you're better off just going into a document. I was never a fan of an MOU.
So Trump does, and I don't like MOUs either. It's like an LOI, letter of intent, memorandum of understanding. It's basically people who just don't agree with you yet, and then, well, we're agreeing to agree, and we'll do something. And so Trump said, I don't like those. That was some question from the press. Then Bob jumps in. He's going to explain what an MOU is.
So an MOU is a contract. It's the way trade agreements are generally used. People refer to it like it's a term sheet. It's not a term sheet. It's an actual contract between the two parties. Yes. A memorandum of understanding is a binding agreement between two people. And that's what we're talking about. It's detailed. It covers everything in great detail. It's just called a memorandum of understanding. It's a legal term. It's a contract.
And would you think that would be a very long-term deal, sir?
Contracts last while they last. There's no term. They last while they last.
Mr. President, on North Korea.
By the way, I disagree. I think that a memorandum of understanding is not a contract to the extent that we want. We're doing a memorandum of understanding that will be put into a final contract, I assume. But to me, the final contract is really the thing, Bob, and I think you mean that too, is really the thing that means something. A memorandum of understanding is exactly that. It's a memorandum of what our understanding is. But to me, the contract is, the real question is, Bob, so we do a memorandum of understanding, which frankly you could do or not do. I don't care if you do it or not. To me, it doesn't mean very much. But if you do a memorandum, how long will it take to put that into a final binding contract?
What? From now on, we're not using the word memorandum of understanding anymore. We're going to use the term trade agreement, all right?
Okay. Right.
No more. We'll never use the term agreement. We'll have the same document. It's going to be called a trade agreement. We're never going to use MOU again.
Are they going to put that?
What a little whiny bitch.
We're never going to use the term memorandum.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I have some thoughts about this meeting. You want to play? I have a background to hear that Democracy Now! Put together Trump in Vietnam.
I don't want to go to Vietnam yet. First of all, we need to take a break in a minute.
Well, weren't you just in Vietnam?
That was China. The Chinese trade negotiations.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That makes sense.
All right.
It's the same thing with the Vietnam thing. It's connected.
Let's talk about some other brown people. Venezuela. Wow, they are trying all the tricks. Anything we can do to justify going in and taking everyone's oil and putting Guaido on the pedestal. Here's Sean Hannity.
It's a Fox News alert as we continue reporting tonight from Hanoi, Vietnam. Jorge Ramos, 6 other Univision staffers detained at the presidential palace in Venezuela. This allegedly occurred after an interview with the Venezuelan dictator, Nicolas Maduro. According to reports, Maduro didn't like the line of questioning, so he ended the interview, confiscated the equipment, and had Ramos, along with his colleagues, arrested. We do have an update. Thankfully, 3 hours later, the group was released. We'll continue to monitor this disturbing story, but I got to tell you, you know what? I don't agree with Jorge on a lot of issues. He's an American.
Jorge Ramos is controlled opposition for Fox News. I mean, the guy is only on Fox News, always, and he's Univision, of course, but he's always the opposition. No, you don't know what you're talking about. No. And now they use him in this so-called, they took him captive and they took this interview away because this guy's such a bad
dictator. They took all the
dictator.
gear and put it on Craigslist.
Exactly. I smell a rat. That is a very typical tactic. That's almost like, shooting down some plane in Kashmir. But then the final thing, as we go to white people, is Scandinavia. There's some crap going on.
I'm short on this. This is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, and it's very hard to get clips of it because it's been going on for a long time. I think I can summarize it. This company, is it SNC Lavalin, I believe? I don't even know what they do, but they broke some rules, and essentially Trudeau put all the screws to the Attorney General to not have them be prosecuted. I think it's called a delayed prosecution or some term like that. And eventually the Attorney General got pushed out, and now she's out saying, let me just tell you how this went down. And Trudeau is being implicated in being a corrupt bugger. Here's a quick clip I have. This is the Conservative leader Andrew Scheer, and he, of course, is taking advantage of this politically.
Justin Trudeau simply cannot continue to govern this country now that Canadians know what he has done. And that is why I am calling on Mr. Trudeau to do the right thing and to resign. Further, the RCMP must immediately open an investigation, if it has not already done so, into the numerous examples of obstruction of justice the former Attorney General detailed in her testimony.
So SNC Lavalin is a contracting company like Halliburton, and they apparently committed human rights crimes in Libya. Didn't even know the Scandinavians were building in Libya. Everyone's in on these deals. You're just as rotten as we are. And so
it's pretty funny because I think this may end Trudeau's career.
I think it has to. And what is he thinking? What the hell? And by the way,
no idea. This is going to be. We have to really dig a little deeper in this.
Well, to our Scandinavian producers, what is not helpful is sending us half hour and say, "Hey, it's all in here." And it can't be 6 minutes. So we have to figure out a way to tell the stories in shorter sound bites, and this is the problem I have. Just trying to get the Attorney General. She has a list of like 10 things. It takes her 25 minutes to really explain the whole situation. But I think that's, in a nutshell, that's it. Human rights violations. The company is supposed to get their ass handed to them, and everyone's lobbying for it not to happen, including Trudeau, who eventually pushes out the Attorney General, who has been pressing for the charges or for the prosecution, and he wants it to be delayed, and there's got to be money and donors and other kinds of stuff involved.
It's definitely a big deal.
Yes, so we would like to know more, and that is also part of your jobs as producers.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we do have some people to thank for show 1116. That's 1116 starting with James Weisner in Palmetto Bay, Florida, $150. First year after a year of listening, so he needs a de-douching.
Okie-dokie.
You've been de-douched.
He also wants to call out the sparkliest Sparky I know, James Murray or Jimmy Murray, as a douchebag. Introduced him to the show and didn't donate. But okay, well, I am a 3-time Grammy-honored recording and mixing engineer, and I have to say your sound quality is top-notch.
Wow. Now that's a compliment I really appreciate.
Yeah.
How can I get in on that Grammy action?
I have noticed since the new rig test in episode 1. This is typical of these guys.
By the way, I've noticed a slight ring above 5 kilohertz.
Episode 1114, and again in 1115, what sounds like an occasional feedback loop between Adam's headphones and mic, resulting in a slight chirp or squeak, kind of like John's chair.
Well, this is true, and I shall explain. I have a hearing disability. Thank you for making fun of the invalid. So I typically have hearing aids, but I cannot evaluate the sound wearing hearing aids and the headphone. So the only way I can do that is what I've been doing up until I got hearing aids, is I crank the headphones up to 11. If I'm talking, and if I just even open up my headphone even a little bit, there you go. So even
he heard that.
Yes, he heard that. That's exactly what he heard.
It sounds like my chair squeaking.
A little bit. Yeah, yours is
when I heard it there, I realized what he was listening to, and then I hear my chair squeaking a lot more than anybody. And that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a little chirp.
By the way,
wow, what an ear.
I
love these guys.
My left hearing aid failed. Like I didn't know if it was my ear or what was going on. People, if you're don't get these online tests and get the $500 hearing aids. If you're serious about your hearing, go to an audiologist. Even I had to go to the audiologist just to get help and understand what was going on. It's just a little tip for the deaf.
Well, anyway, it's good to have a 3-time Grammy.
That's fantastic. And I'm very honored by this compliment. Thank you.
Antonio Sanchez Godinez, 120. He is on the list. He's getting knighted, I guess.
Yes,
he wants some big jobs karma. Do that at the end.
Well, he's going to be a knight. I think we can do it here.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
You'll be Sir Antonio of Madrid. Looking forward to it.
Ivo Welton in Arnhem.
Arnhem.
Oh, Arnhem.
Yeah, Arnhem.
Sorry.
Arnhem.
It's been way too long since my last donation. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Nicholas Grube, and that was $111.11 from Evo. Nicholas Grube, 100. He's good.
He needs a de-douching. He says, even though I'm a monthly contributor, I got called out by my Jewish friend Brad Horowitz last week. I don't know why you have to add that to it. Anyway, considering tomorrow is my 33rd birthday, well, we'll give you a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
He's $100. Sir Brian Kaufman, Scottsdale, Arizona, 75.75. Robert Smiley in Holland, Pennsylvania, 75. Sir Stephen Hutto. Everybody pronounces it differently nowadays because of
you.
Stephen Curry.
Because of you.
St. Petersburg, Florida, 7070. Sir Don of Taintsville.
He needs jobs karma. We'll get that at the end for you.
Yeah, 66.60. Sabode Peth in Metairie, Louisiana, 5678.
And Sabode will become a knight today and will be known as Sir Laugh-A-Lot.
Well, that's good.
And he did actually want 2 jingles, which I think we can do because I have them here. He wanted a Atlas Shrugged, and what was the other one there? Dogs Are People Too. We can do that.
Atlas Shrugged.
By Ayn Rand.
Dogs are people too.
Here you go. See you at the round table.
Peter Chong, Lakewood, Washington, 5555. Jonathan Hess in Heidelberg, Deutschland. Happy birthday to douchebag Alex in Munich.
Douchebag.
Michael Robinson, 5433. Anonymous, 5150. He needs some jingles. We'll put them somewhere. Patrick Shannon, 5150, Minneapolis. Kurt Labanowski, 51 in Ramsey, New Jersey. Sir Eric VM, Baronet of the Valley in Van Nuys, California, 5038. And Joe Bassesi, 5038. Oh, it's a symbolism of 5038 out of the blue. Darren Danakuski, Kutzowitz. Danakiewicz. I'm guessing.
No, it's Denekowitz.
Denekowitz. That's it. In Dubai.
Denekowitz.
Dubai. We need a report from Dubai. How's life? It's hot. That's your report. Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. John Winky.
Oh, Joe Winky. Joe is from the
Joe Winky.
From the original healthy surprise box, and now doing the CBD stuff. Yeah. What is the name of his? I keep forgetting the name of his.
I know, it's really embarrassing.
Gooba, Boga.
Send it in more often, and we'd remember.
Yes. Sorry, Joe.
Joe Winky. Okay. Ian Cummings, Not that Ian Cummings, but this one in Starkville, Mississippi. He listens on his Linux box when he's on the road. That's interesting.
Oh, he also, I've been hearing about this. He says he launched the No Agenda Show Matrix group.
Yeah.
Which is NA Matrix. Matrix is the decentralized communications future. I will be evaluating this. I'm always interested.
Please do.
I'm always interested in this stuff.
Eric Dutro in Flint, Michigan. Anonymous Scrometer.
Scrometer. Yes.
50. These are all $50 donors, name and location. Sir Dennis Stevens of Mile High Night in Parker, Colorado. Louis Pasteur in Miami, Florida. Or Lewis, perhaps. Robert Makowski in Rhinebeck, New York, regular. Sir Peter Totes in Sugar Land, Texas. And last but not least, Richard Gardner, who is at parts unknown. I know where he is. This is Sir Richard Gardner. I think he's the one in New York, but I'm not sure. One of the two. We have two of them.
Yes.
I want to thank all these folks for donating to and helping produce and keeping the show going. Show 1116.
Yes.
Thanks.
And just on the anonymous scrometing thing, I'm no longer going to talk about marijuana or marijuana products on this show because we have so many experts. We have people who have been growing marijuana for 25 years. No matter what you say, they're angry at me. It's like if I say this scrometing doesn't happen if you smoke weed. It's because, you're using these either inferior products or everyone. That's not true. I've been making it for 25 years. It's great. That must be a pesticide. It's very disappointing that the hemp community can't just say, oh, here's something to think about. No, they have to attack. It's very odd. I did not expect
wired, man.
They're the opposite of wired. No.
They get all wired up because they're stoned.
But for sure, you have to be careful about some of today's weed, and they spray crappy pesticides on them. You don't want any pesticides on your weed.
Well, that's why you want to buy from one of the systems dealer that checks the weed.
Reputable dealer. That's right. Well, we thank everybody for your support of episode 1116 of the best podcast in the universe. And of course, we have another one coming up on Sunday, and you can support us at Dvorak.org/NA. We got a couple of jingles to do and some karmas as requested.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday.
And here's your birthday list. It is the last day of the month, February 28, 2019. Lori Wolf says happy birthday to her daughter, Madeline Wolf. She turns 15 today. Nicholas Group, 33 as well today, the magic number. Efo Welton, 42 tomorrow. Wes Harris says happy birthday with smoking hot wife, Julie. She turns 39 on Saturday. And Jonathan Hess, happy birthday to douchebag Alex in Munich. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. 1, 2, 3, 4 nightings today. I have my blade ready to go. Okay, I see ya. Sabode Path, Antonio Sanchez Godinez, and Rob Wales and Taco. Gentlemen, stepping up here next to the No Agenda Roundtable. All of you have supported the show in the amount of $1,000 or more, and therefore I am very proud to bring you into the table of the Knights and the Dames, and I pronounce the KD, Sir Laugh-A-Lot, Sir Antonio of Madrid, Sir Rob of the Great Southern Land, and Sir Taki. For you, gentlemen, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We got cookies and vodka, warm beer and cold women, early times and BF4, crawfish and cane breaks, sparkling cider and escort, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, vodka and vanilla, and mutton and mead. Head on over to noagendanation.com/rings. Give Eric the Shill all your information, and you will get those rings. It was nice to see so many represented at the meetup in Iowa, and I'm sure we'll see a number of them at the No Agendapendence meetup on Saturday right here in Austin, Texas. It's going to be great to see everybody. Star-studded, celebrities wall to wall. It's going to be crazy. Just crazy, I tell you.
Let's hope so.
And
let's talk about Trump in Vietnam.
Okay.
Here's the Democracy Now! Report.
And Oh, there you go. I got it.
Michael Cohen's remarks also reveal Trump faked a medical condition to get out of the Vietnam War draft, and that Trump told him, quote, "You think I'm stupid. I wasn't going to Vietnam."
Oh, this is the wrong clip.
It says Trump in Vietnam.
Yeah, this is a clip from the hearings that I thought was hilarious that I didn't hear and I missed it.
Well, let's. You want to play this?
Let's play it because it's very funny.
Well, let's talk about Trump in Vietnam. You have no clip.
I had a Trump in Vietnam rap. Okay, so Trump goes to Vietnam and nothing happens. Now, that's my rap.
You nailed it.
Now, I think they made a deal that they can't get anywhere with Bolton and the other guy,
Elliott.
Secretary.
No, Bolton.
No, or
Pompeo.
Pompeo.
Yeah.
So because those two guys go in there and muck up the works because they're both neocons, they hate the country, and they're just trying to. They're part of the industrial complex that wants to keep selling arms to South Korea.
Yes.
And so, if we're going to make good friends with the North Korean guy, it's going to hurt business. So they go in there and screw things up, and then Trump is stuck with whatever happens. So he goes in there and nothing. But he does make it. There's a subtlety to this because both two things happen that really are going to put a stop to a lot of this. One, Trump says we're not going to do any more of these exercises with the South Koreans. And his excuse was because it's a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
The real excuse, of course, is because Kim Jong-un hates these things. He thinks they're just provocations.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to stop that. But it's going to be the excuse is going to be it's a waste of money. So nobody cares about that. I'm sure Trump had to talk them into that. The second thing is Kim's going to stop testing stuff. And that's a plus for us. So at least we got that far. And that's as far as we're going to get. They should also end the war. But somebody pointed out that the real thing here is going on. Again, these arms sales are so important because there's too much money being lost if we end this thing all together and turn it into a tourist trap. But somebody pointed out that the South Koreans want to do something other than be under our thumb insofar as us making them spend money. And that's why they keep using the phrase, you've heard it, the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Yes.
They don't say the
North Korean. No, they don't say North Korea. You're absolutely right.
They always say the peninsula because we've got a bunch of atomic weapons in South Korea. They want them out. They're dangerous.
So
they're targets.
It would be a joint effort then.
Well, it's never going to happen if you have these two creeps.
Yeah, the arms sales guy.
A creep, and Bolton. Why is Bolton even in the White House? All this when Trump ran, he's bitching and moaning about all this stuff, and then he brings this creep into the White House to be the national security advisor. Why?
I don't know.
You either were going to shoot you and your family, or you had to put Bolton in. Is that what it was?
Again, I think it's the weird sex stuff. They're all involved in that. All of them.
You think Trump's involved in the weird sex stuff to the point where he's going to has to
yes,
have
I think
in there?
Yeah, I think in the early days of Roy Cohn, I'm going to have to add Roger Stone in there, and I think there was some weird sex stuff going on.
So we're going back to your old thesis, which I'm going to reiterate for people who are unfamiliar with this. There is a huge blackmailing operation going on amongst a bunch of sexual perverts and deviants, and I use that word advisedly. I know what it means. I know there's negative implications, but there's a blackmailing scheme that goes on. Is that once everybody's in on it,
then it's all over.
You have to do what you're told, or you're going to be exposed as some sort of a creep.
Well, for instance. And Alex Jones came up with this, and I think it was kind of an interesting thought. So he says that the fact that the Senate wouldn't even pass a bill that said, hey, you can't kill a baby after it's born, and not enough, like 40 senators voted against it, or 44, whatever it was, they couldn't get to the 60 number, which is kind of odd because you think, well, why wouldn't you pass that kind of bill, resolution, whatever it was? But that's because of the harvesting of the organs. If you keep something alive, there's a big business in organs. That's just a fact. I mean, there were Look at the rabbis in New Jersey who went to jail for it. They were selling all kinds of organs all over the world. It was a huge scandal. So this guy is in on it, and then all of a sudden he drops the beans he drops the ball by admitting to this on that radio show, the governor. And then immediately they come out and try to smack him down with something I'm sure was known for a long time, which is the racist blackface KKK yearbook picture. So blackmail, by the way, it's what the CIA does. They do it with sex all the time, and the FBI.
Enough said.
Yeah, so it's yeah. So yes, I think that can be the only reason. Bolton is a creep, and he is a neocon, and Trump doesn't seem quite that interested really in like even Venezuela. No, he's like, he does his speeches, he does whatever. I think he's interested in the oil. He's always said that about Iraq. We're so stupid. We went there. We basically helped those idiots out. We didn't get anything for it. What was that? Just to solidify my theory about the wall. So Trump has agreed that we should, and I think he said it himself, that we should give TPS, which is not from office spaces, but TPS is temporary protected status to the Venezuelans, so that they, just like, the Haitians, there's so many different countries who get, you're allowed to stay in the United States. You get a temporary protected status. It's a pass, and it never really goes away, and people just build their lives here. Can you imagine what kind of you need a wall if you're giving TPS to Venezuela? We're gonna have a lot of people walking up here. So this seems like something that maybe was even in play before he took office. I don't know. Yeah, if you look at the long game of what we do,
these oil companies are playing long games.
It's long game. It's very, very long game. But let's talk about something that we can still talk about, even though I don't want to go into depth on it. We can have a conversation if we want here about vaccines. We have it all the time. We're not anti-vaxxers. There are some things to question, such as, why do all the pharmaceutical companies have immunity for their vaccines? It's blanket. If you get hurt or killed by a vaccine, you cannot sue. You cannot bring a lawsuit. That is federally determined in the laws. Now you can get some respite, some reparations from a fund that is kept very quiet. But now, even talking about it on some of your favorite social media sites, not yours, not mine, is a problem. You can't do it anymore. This is from NPR.
More than 120 people have been diagnosed with measles so far this year in outbreaks in Texas, New York, and Washington. One factor public health officials suspect is contributing to these outbreaks: anti-vaccine information on social media. Pinterest, the visual bookmarking site, has decided to intervene. A 2017 policy limits search results related to, quote, health misinformation, including about vaccines. Ifeoma Ozoma is the public policy and social impact manager for Pinterest. Before this policy was in place,
for a term like vaccine, if you had searched vaccine, much of the content was in violation of our community guidelines because it was anti-vaccine advice.
A search on the site for cancer cures might have brought up pins or bookmarks for pages about herbs and juices that work better than chemotherapy. Now you'll find a message that says pins about this topic often violate our community guidelines, so we're currently unable to show search results.
Our goal really is harm reduction. And so because we're humble about our limitations and our own expertise here, we look to outside experts like the WHO, CDC, and the American Academy of Pediatrics and their guidance on what's harmful.
So what is harmful? I love this new department, although she had a little different name for it in the interview. It comes back. Every Silicon Valley company now has a trust and safety department. And I think we need to have a trust and safety department. Because
we should have one on through the show.
This is something you can trust and it's not safe. Here's a follow-up on this harmful information people with alternative remedies to cancer. Oh my gosh, we cannot be giving this away.
People go to the internet and go to these platforms to find like-minded communities and to share information. Are you doing damage to that kind of agreement that they think they have with you?
Yeah, so harmful misinformation is not inspiring, and it's not the kind of content that our platform hopes to promote.
But what if people think you shouldn't be the one to make that decision for them? As adults who are on the internet doing research on their own, why should you get to make that call?
Well, we aren't making the call because vaccines are settled science. And we also are very clear because we know that there may be questions about the decisions that we've made. We're really clear and transparent in our community guidelines and use simple language so that everyone can understand why we're considering certain content harmful.
People, set up your own website. Stop this insanity. Set up a Mastodon server.
Go to WordPress.com. I don't
anything.
I don't know that Blogspot, Blogger, or WordPress are doing this to their users.
No, of course they're not. And if you host it yourself, you have much less
even
chance.
There you go. You just host it yourself. Now, a couple of things about this measles deal bothers me. I had some clips before, but I don't know if you can find them, but they're be under measles. This started, by the way, we had this measles thing happen about 10 years ago on this show, and to the point where the Lear Foundation was dropping in storylines.
Yes, I remember.
In the in Law and Order, were killed by measles. Killed by measles. There was a big case with some woman, a fictional, on Law and Order, where this woman didn't have her kid vaccinated, and the kid next to her died.
So what would it be called? I have measles. BBC, Josh, Disneyland.
I don't know what it'd be called.
Okay.
So, you know the way you're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, what am I thinking?
So the measles thing is not a new thing. It happens as a cycle. Now, it's supposed to be eradicated a few years ago, but somehow, if it's eradicated, it seems to me, which they claimed it would be eradicated. I think they reintroduced it. And I say that because there's a number of news stories that came out recently where the kid got the measles vaccine and then got measles.
Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of other kids who had the vaccine.
That's settled science, by the way.
But not the booster, and they got measles. And when did a booster become a thing for measles? So I'm also of the opinion that if you go about it this way, especially if you can't get sued, you take this, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy nut, but from a business standpoint, you're making these vaccines, and now you're noticing in Washington State in particular, people aren't taking this shot.
Right.
Although it's a shot I'd recommend. But under these circumstances, I'd wait. Because the people up there, that's where it started to break out. And again, it's reported that it was a kid who just got the shot, who got measles and started spreading it around, this eradicated disease. Eradicated, they say. It started spreading it around. Now everybody has to get all freaked out. They're going to get them back on the shot wagon, the bandwagon for shots. I just find something scamish about this whole measles outbreak, that if you can't get sued, I can put live virus in the thing and inject it to a few dozen kids in some areas where we know there's not a lot of vaccines being taken.
It would be
I'd do it.
It would be great to find one of our
If I was a creep, I'd do it.
One of our earliest shows, I should say. I in particular really became very interested, and this was a lot of awakening for both of us, I think, back in the day, 10 years ago. There was a J.P. Morgan Chase investors conference, and
you had the slideshow.
Yeah, I had the slideshow, and it was, I forget which pharmaceutical company it was, or if it was maybe just one CEO talking about the industry, and it had it right there. They had their hockey stick. It was off the charts. Vaccines are the next revenue source. This is the gold mine. And since that, we got HPV, Gardasil, all this stuff came in. Then we had the swine flu. The flu virus is an ongoing vaccination program. Just on and on and on and on and on.
My favorite, by the way, during the swine flu thing, I think I put it in one of the older newsletters. I had a picture. We're giving swine flu shots out at in Albany at their library.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yes.
And the picture was, I'm telling you, it was like a Star Wars movie.
Yes.
The people were lined up with their kids around the block to get this shot.
Woo! Yep.
And that's a shot I never got that shot. My approach, and I've said it before, is I think Tamiflu and Relenza are two antivirals that work very well if you get the flu, or if you think you're getting the flu. Well, you better be pretty sure you're just wasting a lot of money because they're expensive.
Yep.
And it's like I've had a flu shot most of my life for how many variations can there be that I haven't gotten the shot for?
I was thinking about this myself. I've never received a flu shot. The last time I got the flu, serious flu, was the swine flu in San Francisco. And I lived. And since then, I've had no flu. Now, I'm dying from allergies, but that's a different problem. But flu? No. I don't seem to get it anymore.
Well, I caught a version. I caught that one from a couple of years ago that killed a bunch of people. I know two people. Jerry Pournelle, I think, was killed by the same flu.
Wow. Shoot, man. You should go get a shot. We can't have you dying from some flu.
So I had this flu. And what happened was we were in London and they were coming back and I was getting it right there on the spot.
And you went to Relenza.
I have a process for these things so I don't get sick.
Right.
And my process wasn't working.
Uh-oh.
And I said, Dad, this has got to be the flu. And I immediately started on Tamiflu.
What is your process?
I take no more than 2 mega doses of vitamin D3.
If it doesn't go away, then...
Well, I rarely have to take 2. It's usually with one dose that knocks everything out.
Gotcha.
And so it stops colds in its tracks. But you can't do it a lot because it's hard on the kidneys. But you can do it once a month. Anyway, that wasn't working. But I always carry Tamiflu when I travel. So I started right away with that, and I got through it pretty effortlessly, considering that everybody else is dropping like flies.
Right.
And my wife, she started too late on everything, and she got a bad case of it. It's really
we need her too. We got to keep you guys healthy. It's like that's the back office or the front office. Like we can't have this.
Hey, we're fine, okay?
Okay.
I'm worried about you.
I learned it by watching you. Okay, something like that.
Hey, you, man. You.
Nah, man.
Good man.
Keeper's keeping me healthy. No worries. And that is our deconstruction for today. We, of course, will have lots more to talk about on Sunday. It never ends. Not just deconstruction of your media worldwide, maybe some things we hadn't learned yet from the media, but also a wrap-up of No Agenda Dependence. The No Agenda Dependence meetup.
Because you'll have the event.
That's right. The event will be Saturday. We'll talk about it on Sunday. For that, look up noagendameetups.com. And coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region number 6 in the governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where indeed the Zephyr did not go by, I'm John C. Dvorak.
And we thank Marco Garcia, Dave Corbanu, Leo Lepuc, OVDB, and Placeboing for our end-of-show mixes. Until Sunday, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
Hello, everyone. I think it is a green dream. Tax rates as high as 60 or 70%.
Cost estimate, $93 trillion.
That is the Fox News version.
That's not the Fox News version. This is the American Action Forum. It's not ours.
Exactly. A random organization.
I don't care anymore. I'm at least trying. The power is in the person who's trying, regardless of the success. You try.
They're not even trying. They're jealous of me.
Is it okay to still have children?
The Green New Deal, for $93 trillion, you can have brand new life, brand new life, a brand new life around.
I'm the boss. Because you're not. Deal with it. That's their problem, not ours. A swag bag. Look at that. Isn't that so cute?
Took the trigger.
telephones that have gone in and triggered people, but it's electrical manipulation of the brain. Telephones that have gone in and triggered people, but it's electrical manipulation of the brain. The phone rings, I took the trigger. Yeah. You're saying, well, where's the phone? It's everywhere. It's 5G. A certain percentage of people are going to end up being killers and crazy, only half cooked. But the phone rings, I took the trigger. Electrical manipulation of the brain. The phone rings, I took the trigger. Electrical manipulation of the brain. Believing with the program cleanse the earth.
Now here is the one and only Adam Curry.
Yeah, Montclair, yeah. Yeah, Montclair, yeah. I buy a new car for the bitch. I tear down the mall with the bitch. You can't even talk to the bitch. She fucking with bosses and shit. I be Gucci down, you wearing Lacoste and shit. Fur came off a bear. Got him tennis chains on, they real blingy. Draco make you do the chicken head like Chingy. Walking Neiman Marcus, I spend a life fitty. 7,500 center on jacket, yeah. It's all like fucking bitches, Gucci's, yeah.
You're as cold as ice.
Yeah, for real, straight up out the 6. Come on, guys, give me a check.
You're as cold as ice.
Now, please, order. I say order. I say only to the house, order. I say to you, and I say it in the kindest possible spirit, order. I say to you, and I say it in the kindest possible spirit. Now, order. Please.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
My God, for 25 years, they've been growing babies in cows.